planet here. Shout out to everybody on the Sentinelese Island, right? All the the Andamanese Island, right? Shout out to my indigenous brothers and sisters over there still popping and boring arrows off, right?
Let them go,
right? You know, they don't even know what a COVID is. Well, people don't even know what a COVID is. Like, what's that? Well, we got that over here, bro. We ain't got none of that over here. They living their best life. Shout out to them. All right, so let me get the mic. Okay, the mic over here. All right. Hold up. I'm going to tighten this arm down. What's over? Moving it all day. All right, peace, power, and profit to the family. What's going on, Oba David? See you popped in the building too. Everybody that may be tuning in, coming in on the tube side. Of course, this is our Thursday night training session. Our basically what it is, our training session. So this is more what they call closed caption in that perspective. We use this trick to focus on, those who are, again, patrons of this, of the craft, and also who sow seeds in the ideal of, me being able to provide some context and clarity within this. Of course, it's a joint effort, as one of my favorite quotes from Robert Klein. And, as one teaches to learn, right? So, we're all getting some out of this web because this information is, it's broadband, literally, right? It's a spectrum of, wealth of information, all just spread across a lot of different strategies, industries, the whole nine, right? So you'll never be in a position where you learn it all. There's no finite or there's no end point in this, I should say. So you'll be constantly updating your life in this craft as industry change, as innovations come forth, as data points change on the economic side of things, right? We're tracking these things because they move markets. Of course, the big elephant in the room today was the CPI data. Some would call it the CPI or the CPI, right? Consumer price, index lie, be it, it has a lot of controlling forces behind the scene that has a vested interest in it. We'll just say that, right? So because of that, of course, it can be skewed like anything, right? People say, well, how dare, the American governments would never do nothing like that. And I'm like, okay, what rock did you just crawl from underneath, right? Governments has a track record of doing it, and they've been very blatant, let you know that, because they have to control the narrative, right? Because it's never going to be sunshine and and roses every day, and even when those moments are irrelevant, they will try to irrelevant. Of course, they will try to make it seem as if it's sunshine and roses, right, for the greater good, right, to just keep people hope, right? So they play the role of preacher, teacher, neighborhood corner hustler. The role of government is expansive. Now, this is not me advocating. I'm just saying, of late, they've taken on the role of mafia, right? Draconian measures in terms of the laws. Again, the ideal of separating, taxpayers, hard-earned taxpayers away from their future growth and potential, their money, savings, and this, that, and the third, through the value of bad policy, overreaching excess that's funneling up to the top 1%. And that elephant, drum roll, is the CPI, right? Consumer Price Index. And also, let us not forget, is its sibling, right? Its sibling would be the The PPI, right? Producer Price Index, right? That's the wholesaler from the consumer, who's paying the most, who's also having to pass on these higher costs because they're getting hit across the head too, right? Keep in mind, the wholesaler got a got a distributor too, right? It's kind of like, your favorite rapper's favorite rapper. So your favorite rapper would be, the producer of the product or the service that you love to buy. Well, guess what? Their favorite rapper going to be that person controller that commodity, so they can, chip off of it and, build off of it to produce the product to sell it to you, right? Without their guy, there is no you loving what you like, right? So it's the, the chain effect, right? That's that chain reality that comes along with business, right? Especially when you're, again, running, running an establishment, right? Be it online, be it, brick and mortar, whatever. You are subjected to the same, broad spectrum of commodity prices, lot value, spot prices. Some people call it spot price because if you follow the commodities market, you're seeing spot pricing, meaning this is what the universal set number is, across all different, and it's just only differentiated across, what your currency value would be, and that's to that of the USD dollar, right? If you're buying our goods, right? So, of course, one of the biggest staple products that are bought out of America, actually, I don't know if you guys know this or not, but I guess I'll throw it out there in quiz form because we are in training tonight. What is that product? Do you guys happen to know by any chance? What is the most widely sold commodity? Oh, let me crank my camera. I ain't even got it open. It don't matter. We're in training, so it's been a long day. What is the number one commodity sold in America by any chance? Do anybody know? Anybody want to take a stab at it?
Oil.
Right. Well, definitely oil. All right, oil. And I guess I should have separated because some of these, some of you guys are definitely layered in this. Y'all got a lot of experience. So I would say between, let's say fossil fuel. We'll say between fossil value, which ain't really but oil and what that gas, right? I guess between that, softs, right, or metals. All right. Let's say in terms of, I just say agriculture. Then what's the most highly sold piece of agriculture in America?
Corn.
Say again?
Corn?
I was gonna say corn.
Somebody would say corn, right? Why would y'all say corn? Why would y'all choose corn, I should say, if you don't mind me asking that too? Why corn?
It's put in everything.
It's
Right,
cheap.
so it's everywhere. It's cheap, right? All right. So t-shirt, t-shirt, reading t-shirt. Thank you.
It's a cheap commodity.
It's cheap commodity, right? Cheap commodity. All right. What else? Right? What else? And this is just kind of layers, right? It's layers to the information, of course.
Soybean.
So then we have
soybean. Why soybean?
Soybean.
Right. Overshines to soybean too. All right. Moving somewhere now, right? Why soybean? Again,
They pretty much use that in all the food. All processed food.
Ubiquitous, right? So when we use that term like ubiquitous, what are we really saying? It's what? It's everyday use case more so than average, right?
Right.
And go ahead, somebody say something. And also diversification, right? It's diversification, right? How many items can you use corn for in respect to that of soybean? Which one could you spread this use case around more in?
Definitely soybean.
Corn or soybean? You say definitely soybean?
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
Right. So it's a very a broad use case, right? So of course, if that's the case, then that means the need for it is even more so expensive. Of course, I'm sure y'all would agree with that in that regard, right? Because it's used in a lot of places, used a lot of for a lot of different things, right? So in tonight's discussion or the conversation within that, we're discussing the CPI data, right? Well, the importance of that is in a lot of words, it's very important. Why? Because this is our daily, we're using this stuff in real time, right? So if you're feeling it at the grocery store, again, you're feeling it at the pump, you're feeling it, through just the value of the taxation overall, whatever the case of it is that, it's something that's very important that we need to focus on, right? And we need to function, we're functioning under the same rules of engagement because it's a spot value, right? It's a spot tax, right? So that's how you look at it. It's a spot tax that no one, can escape, right? The only separation that would be if you have more money to where you can weather it than that of those people who are on set budgets, right? They're feeling it, different, right? They're having a different, they're having a different experience with it, right? Because they may have a different budget. Of course, that's the separation of degrees, so to speak, right? The separation of degrees. So yeah, for us, it's important for us to learn it as market participants because you're going to hear it a lot. And then you're going to realize in these times, the importance of it is like, it's like the stint of, some groundbreaking policy. Why? Because the one thing that you go to the polls to vote for is what? equal and fair opportunity, right, within the system, right? That your money is equitably used in the system within government so they can turn around and go out and do the bidding for what? For you, right? The citizens as a whole, but for the most part, those are on individual levels, but as a whole, it's for the greater good of society, right? So the importance of that CPI data, the functioning, parts that make it up, right? Or, that go into making that complete, that's a complete, data readout. It's very, very important. Why? Because again, there's a tangible link to each and every one of us. If you are a consumer on this planet, again, if you consume anything, right? Yeah, you're under that same, rule of thought or rule of thumb or whatever in terms of having to deal with that data. Why? Because whatever you may produce in your company, your country, it goes so far, it can only go so far, right? Because the way that we move products around the world on a global level, right? One of the biggest agricultural items that we produce, that's why we kind of asked that question right out the gate. What's one of the biggest, agricultural commodities that we probably, produce more than anything, right? Again, of course, we would say corn, because corn is everywhere, right? Where you go, you travel to the Midwest or the East Coast, whatever, you see number cornfields, right? And, other stuff you see that's low crop growth, like what's that? It must be peanuts, right? Well, a lot of this stuff is soybean, but a lot of the soybeans in America is grown where? In the Midwest, right? That's why a lot of us probably don't see it if we travel down the East Coast, right? It's out there on, in the Midwest. And it's a staple crop. It's a staple crop. Why? Because a lot of other nations, consume soybeans. Of course, the Asians, right? It's non-negotiable. The Asians consume soy more than, at a higher level than anybody, right? And therefore, you're selling more of it in lot value, so to speak, right? So, yeah, one would look at that like, okay, that makes sense, I guess so, right? Now that I think about it. But it's all relevant. What's going on, Deshaun? See you in the building, piece of our profit use, sis, and what's going on over Corey? A couple of you guys coming in here. Right, shout out to you all as well. All right, so that becomes again just another extension of how to keep up with, how those prices will somewhat be looked at when you go to do your shopping in the grocery stores, this, that, the third, right? Because again, we're paying higher costs. You're trying to figure out, where's this stuff coming from? Well, you could track it all the way back to the actual individual individual piece of the item, right? It's weird. We never thought about it as a consumer. Why? Because we just too busy. Give me the landed, package, right? Give me one if you got a SKU on it, let's go, right? If it's skewed, that means it's landed, packaged, and accounted for. Sell it, right? And you buy it. That's all you think about. It's there. It's what I want. Whatever. Right. But like you said, soybean is in what? Is in everything, right? I mean, from nut milks to processed foods, it's all over the processed food market, right? Again, y'all know back in the old days, I guess I'm gonna share my age a little bit. Man, back in the day, we used to have our what they call homegrown cookouts, right? We'll throw like a little skip party, in high school, and we'll meet up at somebody's house, like, we were already on a budget. Some of us broke, some people had a little bit. And you like me, you bring the hamburgers, you bring the hot dog. Now you already know them little cheap hamburger patties used to buy today. You get like 1,000 of them for like about $10. It was full of soy, right? The majority of it was soy, and the rest, you might have had 7% real cow meat. Rest of it was soy. It's the greatest feeling. Now imagine today's time, like we're talking literally 20, 30 years, whatever, 20, 30 years. What will be the inflationary cost on that box of soybean patties today? Beyond cost of living, but just that aspect of that, it all kind of forces it to have what an evolutionary value of what growth, and even in terms of what their margin, right, expansion on those same little items we used to buy way back in the days, and it fluctuates, so it's not sedentary. It's not sedentary at all. It fluctuates based upon what are those commodity prices that they need to feel feel the good with. So it's important, right? A lot of people like, man, again, yeah, man, what's the use case here? What's the importance of it? It's very important. Why? Because for what it's worth, if you are an investor in this regard, not only do you understand the field of play, but you can even, detail down the minutia of the taxation down to the even what the commodity itself. And you can track it better. And you can use this knowledge and this data to make good financial decisions, again, if you are trading in or around these spaces. You know, sometimes, of course, you guys, you know, when you hear it, you're like, yeah, we kind of, it makes sense now, but you kind of know it in the back of your head. But before, again, a lot of us had no clue, or maybe the gravity of it didn't really resonate with us to go that far. Like, bro, it's what it is. Like when a person tell you, you know, what are you eating? It's right here. It just said, you know, it's corn oats, or oatmeal. Right? What's in it? Oatmeal, I guess. But you turn around and read the package. It got what? It got all the other filler ingredients in there too. It got this. It's, oh, I thought it was just 100% oatmeal. No, it's actually a little bit more than that. All right. So again, you learn as you go. You become, you know, more, again, intelligent in terms of your decision making, what you buy, what you don't buy. It's all relevant, right? And it's the same way we feel it in the grocery stores. So jumping right into it, again, just talking about the CPI, the importance of it. Of course, y'all saw the news like I did today. If you follow the markets, you know, we came in hotter than average. We blew the estimates out of the water, which we were already knowing that the estimates were going to be higher. Why? How? Let me ask this question. How did we know the CPI data was going to come in? Potentially, I got to still say that for the sake of, you know, understanding how markets work and how they cook data a lot. How do we know that the CPI data was going to come in hotter than expected today? Anybody want to tackle that? And how would you also track that to follow it if necessary too? Anybody want to take a stab at that? How do we figure out that the CPI data was going to come in greater or hotter than that of, you know, what we've been seeing? Anybody want to tackle that?
I think last week when you did that class and you had that the interview with Powell on there, and he kind of kicked the can down the road, that kind of set the tone, I believe, for some of the things that was going to take place. They I guess they knew the market was going to move as business as usual. He's just going to kick the can down the road. So it was going to, you know, inflation was going to continue to grow because they're not going to address it or do what would need to be done to address it properly, if that makes sense.
Right. And that's, you know, their mandate now is to what? Fight the inflation, right? A lot of that came off the back of them what? Creating it, right?
True.
More money chasing fewer goods, right? We sat literally down for almost a year and a quarter of what's fiscal calendar. Like, who was producing anything during that time frame? And you think about America, we're the most what? Gluttonous country on the planet. We're the most decadent culture on the planet. We want what we want when we want it now, right? If we producing more soybean than everybody else, well, okay, that's just one staple crop of many others that we may need. Some of the stuff we have to also what? Have what? Imported in too. Make sense? And the majority of those importers who produce that product or grow it, if they're sitting down on lockdown because of COVID, where is it coming from? You have a reserves, and then you have, you know, ongoing, you know, supply that's coming in to kind of fill those reserves when they're, you know, revamp them as they go, right? The whole supply and demand thing, right? It's a really tight-knit circle that comes along with business in that regard. You don't need, you know, problems to happen when you have a well-oiled machine and getting people what they need, because any setback or pullback or whatever, slow down, that's a problem, right? You're going to lose money. That's why people say the word what? Or the phrase time is money, right? Obviously, right? Well, it is. And time in itself is the greatest commodity ever, right? Imagine the first person who really sat down and thought about the idea of putting time into it, what? Into perspective. To the tune where we was able to what? Put those ticks around a circle, or they might have used a square, they might have used a rectangle, whatever they use, they start to what? Put it into perspective. First, they had to understand counting, right? Numbers, right? And then they had to kind of put it in perspective, right? So, of course, we kind of know the history of that. Matter of fact, sidebar, fun fact, right? Fun fact. Who do y'all think invented time? The ideal of time? Anybody want to take a stab at that? Joker like, hold up, bro. You
Sears, Roebuck.
Sears, Mr. Shonda. Now you trying to tell me Sears was around way back in the before Christ?
So what was the question?
No,
So
like,
I know I watched
the
something
ideal of
about how
time.
they created the because they were shipping goods like the different time. Well, the
Time
different
zones?
time. Yeah, time
Mhm.
zones, right? So I might have didn't
Fun
understand the
fact.
whole question.
That's valuable intel. No, that's good because you're right. They was able to implement a system. It's like a logistical what? A logistical use case, right? To make their, their need that much more, potent, right? Again, time is money. We say that a lot. Now we realize it as adults. Why? Because our time is what invaluable. Like you get less time as the older you become. Notice that? Right? Like when you got bills and cares in the world, you got all the time in the world feels like, right? You could just daydream literally for hours and hours. Like, dude, what are you doing? You just lost in the what? Lost in the in the atmosphere right now. You get older, like, bro, I ain't got time. You barely got time to even go to the bathroom. So it's a time, it's number one, it's a time stamp attached to it, and also it's a monetary gain or loss in essence to that too. Right. But again, just within that, we're using that fun fact. But when I was like, who do you think was the first person or people to establish the ideal of time? Right. Fun fact question. Do anybody know by any chance? I know I'm just this sidebar, but it's important. These little fun facts matter. Anybody want to take a stab at that? Sister trying to put out serious, right? But context, and she actually is right in that perspective on the logistical side, on the modern side. But let's say pre-Neolithic, right? Pre-Neolithic, or however. Who do y'all think was the first person to construct the ideal time? Because it's owed to that person or those people. When we say things like time and money, put some respect on their name because they was the first one to what? To put time into a what? Into perspective. Right? And anybody want to take a stab at that? Right? Jokers ain't everybody scared to take a stab at it, huh? No, y'all ain't. Come on now. Well, all y'all African Senate coaches jokers in here too. Shame on y'all. Shame on y'all. Shame on y'all. What was that?
I have it.
Say that again. Who's that?
When the dog on?
So you saying the Dogon, right? So all the whole series, series B, the star, all that stuff, the dog star. All right. So yeah, that was around about what? That was still after what? AD, right? Or we say what? CE, right? Common Era, right? Because if you don't follow religion like that, people say the CE, right? Common Era. So that's within the Common Era, right? Possibly. So before then, there was no concept of time. I mean, anybody?
Egyptians.
So okay, now you're going back to Kemet, right? So all the Egyptians had understanding of time. Why? Because they built structures and they used high levels of mathematical equations to be able to map out things, right? Or obviously you would say Imhotep because he again the first multi-genius, right? Of course, he was a doctor, dentist, engineer. He was all that. He was multifaceted, right?
I keep thinking Chronos, but I don't think it's
even Chronos, even the mythology within that came what? I mean, Greek culture, of course. Now we talk about Athena and all that stuff, right? But
he was based off of Egyptian Kemetic gods anyway.
Well, he was a spin-off. That's you're dealing with the Hermes Augustus, and you're dealing with Hermes.
Right. With
that's like I say, but they copycat. Even they fraud. They copied the Kemetics. Yeah. They copied your ancestors.
Whatever.
So they couldn't even do it.
So that's Jehudi.
Right.
Jehudi. But I think that's another name for Imhotep too.
Well, he would be considered that value of it, right? In terms of the anthropomorphic value, right? I'm still surprised y'all still stuck around like 3,000, 2,000 BCE. Y'all ain't like y'all ain't getting none of y'all the people before that. Y'all know we had empires way before Kemet, right? I'm sure y'all know that, right? Now Aristotle again. Keep in mind he came after even that. So we talking about before all those guys because they got how information is, right? You get it from another culture. You build on it. Enhance it, and then you kick that can down the road, right? That's evolution of technology, right? Innovation, right? In markets, we say what is the saying that we say in the markets, right? There's nothing new under the sun, right? But here's the reality within that. You can't, right? The goal is, this is what they say in Wall Street. Y'all have heard it before. If you're not, I'm sharing it with you now. The goal is to always figure out a better way to build a better what? A better what? Mousetrap.
Wheel.
It's not that the wild or even wheel. It's not that the wheel or the mousetrap has not been invented, but you're trying to build a
That's
what?
right, a mousetrap. Build a
Think
better
about them old mousetrap they had in the 70s and 80s. Now I'm telling them age a little bit. Y'all, them old wooden ones, that's all they had. They didn't have all this sophisticated stuff today. They had them old school wood mousetrap, and that was it. So you had to take them things out, the rats or mice out, in the garbage can, whatever, in the field. Now they sophisticated. You got plastic ones, you got pellets, right? You got a better mousetrap. Make sense? So the use cases and the technology is shown to be what? It has evolved over time. Again, keyword time. Time is the what? The precursor for all things to come through to what? To show the intelligence of mankind, humans, Homo sapiens sapiens, all the what? The families of the what? Those species, whatever. So I guess I'm going way back. I know it's a fun fact, but now we own it. It's all synonymous with the conversation because we realize that time is the most greatest commodity ever. Is it not? I would say so. That's just my opinion. I'm just basing it upon the data. It's the greatest commodity ever. You don't have it to waste. It's important. When you lose it, you can't get it back. So you make your time count. Why? Because, it's a cost, it's a cost basis attached to it. All right. It's a cost basis attached to it. Right. All right. So I'm surprised. Okay. I'm going to go on and tell you. So the first person or people to construct the ideal of time, number one, it was African, obviously. South African, a female. I know my patriotic family in here finna get mad. The brothers finna get in their feelings. My Hebrew family, they finna get in their feelings right now. Ain't no woman ain't never invent nothing. You finna have Ike Turner moment like Tina, but Tina ain't never sold no record without it was a sister. It was a black woman. What did she create? Do you happen to know what she created that we still use today?
Was it a sundial?
A 9-month cycle.
Come
She
through.
created
She was able to track her what?
Time, her cycle. Yeah, using that time.
How did she track it?
Checkmate.
Say it with your chest over Jeremy got in, came here and beat all y'all.
It's
What was it,
some kind of bone. I can't think of it.
What was that bone called?
Mobile bone.
You close? You close. It starts with an L.
Pomobo bone.
Starts with an L.
No. The L is silent, ain't it? I thought it was a momo.
Yeah, Lubombo bone. Lubombo bone.
Lubombo bone, right.
Oh,
Yeah.
She a female. So males eat that. Eat that, fellas. Eat that, fellas. Y'all ain't creating nothing but whatever. A little knife, a little spear gun to stab a joke with.
What was her name?
Now we finna take that L. Now you going there, sister. I don't know what her name was. We didn't know she was an African sister. Obviously, probably what? Koi. Like Koi's son, she had to be obvious because it was South Africa at that time. We know the reason within that. The people that was down there having that. And this was going way back. We talking hundreds. You could say, yeah, somewhere around there, hundreds of thousands of years. She was able to track her menstrual cycle by what? The moon. So every day she knocked what? Scribed to what? A notch on that bone. Every day to the T on that, 28th day, her cycle came on. So number one, she was in tune with nature. She had to be eating right, apparently, because she didn't have no, imbalances, right? And bam. And that's that she was able to track time and she established a value of what? Chronology, math, the whole nine. And she could share that with the young ones. Hey, yep, when this happened, okay, now this is how you're going to track that. And you get it. So the importance of it goes way back. Again, this is just like this, historical knowledge that comes along with understanding the importance of it. But today we act like we don't have it to waste. And apparently so, we don't. Why? Well, why is that important to what we're talking about today? Well, CPI data, we're talking about cycles. Remember that last training session, we talked about earning cycles, right? The cycles of markets, cyclicality of markets, the importance of it. If we're in that moment now where markets are starting to kind of what? Come back in, right? So when we say markets are coming back in, what do we mean by that? We're coming out of the crest of what? Of a boom cycle, and we're coming into a crest of a what? Potential what? Starts with a B, starts with another B. When we come out of a boom cycle, you go into a what?
Bus cycle.
A potential of a what? I'm sorry. Y'all said it. Somebody said that.
Bus cycle.
A bus, right? We coming into a bus cycle. That means we finna hit a moment of gestation, or I guess we finna kind of meander around at a midpoint. People to kind of figure out what's going on, and then we're gonna go into that trough of a particular bus cycle. It's not so much that the innovation has been completely halted, but we know we're dealing with what? Supply chain issues. We're dealing with a lot of different delays that comes along with the price of commodity rises, right? In terms of people having the proper, budget to, now kind of, to readjust their numbers to deal with their levels of inflation, which is very important, right? Because you're paying now for a lot or a bushel of what? Soybean, you're paying what now, right? As opposed to what you was paying, literally what, a few days, and not even a few days, excuse me, but months ago, you're paying a lot higher price. So you have to factor that into your what? Your CapEx spending, right? Capital expenditure spending. And you see people talk about stuff like that, or they natural expenses. If your expenses go up, what does that do for as your margin or your pricing power? Not even price power, excuse me, your margin, or as far as your revenue, what does that do to your revenue? Does it hurt, help, or hinder? Right? Apparently, it's going to probably what? Either hurt or hinder it, right? Because you're not getting the same value that you was getting before, because you have to either charge more or you have to eat that cost and still, push those items to get them out of the warehouse, right? The whole supply and demand. So the idea when we're looking at the CPI data, when people say, well, because I posed a question, some of you guys just came in the building. Shout out to everybody coming in the building. Thank y'all for tuning in this evening and being part of this. I asked the question, I posed the question, how do we know that the CPI data is going to come in hotter than it was today, than the readout that they got? How was we able to track it before it came out? That's my point. Anybody? And you would say, or you guys would say, we were able to track that by what other means? Anybody want to tackle it? Anybody?
Repeat the question, please.
The question was posed, how were we able to track the CPI data before the number came out today? How do we know it was going to come in bigger or hotter than what their estimates were? Remember, the Wall Street estimates, Washington estimates were around about what, 7.2, and as high as 7.3. Maybe somebody put out a 7.5. I think it was like Bank of America, one of them put out like a 7.4. But the consensus was 7.2 readout on the CPI data. How do we know it's going to come in bigger than that? To the point where we might have felt a little bit more confident about knowing that the number was going to come in bigger. If y'all saw it, again, news flash, y'all noticed.
How many puts were ordered, or how many options were ordered about it?
Well, that's on the investor side. That's people taking a speculative guess. But a lot of these speculative guess had to come along with them having to figure out what? A thesis, right? To take that stance. And then but what precedes a thesis? Research methodology, right? Their research methodology will lead them through a lot of different portals to figure out, what would cause that to be, right? But when we talk about CPI data, what are we talking about? Consumer Price Index. We're talking about the prices of what? The things that we buy on an average day basis, right? In most cases, we call them what? Starts with a C. Commodities, right? Y'all with me here? Y'all agree with me here? Commodities is the tracker for all things based on the planet, right? How well your taxation is in your economy is dictated by how well your government keep the price of goods and services down, to the point where you can have excess to things to buy houses and cars and send your kids to college. You don't want to have to pay what? $5 for a gallon of milk, right? Think about that, right? That's ubiquitous. I didn't use it more than often. But there's still like a ton of dairy farmers on the planet. Like, dude, like, why am I paying $5 a gallon? And let's say a rural area like South Carolina, Georgia, right, where the cost of living is much cheaper. Again, you see what I'm saying? That's what? Inflation. The only reason we call that is because of inflation. That means too many dollars of chasing field goods. That means that's a what? There's a what? Supply issue. Everything y'all been hearing now in terms of Washington, D.C., the Federal Reserve, the Treasury, et cetera, talking points around Wall Street has been what? The market is undergoing a big what? Supply chain what? Issue. Supply chain delays. Y'all with me here? Well, what caused that? What caused those supply chain issues or delays?
People not going to work.
That's part of it, right? Because you need producers, right? Producers keep the cost of goods down. If you got more production,
they're trying to promote AI. That's why.
they one way to look at it. What else? No, seriously, what else? Right? People not going to work. What else? Right? Which is one of the major parts of when you really parse the straws, right? Yeah, it's less production, right? Less production, right?
Okay.
So that's what's going to drive the cost of goods up. If you're the only person with something, you have a rarity. Do you not? You get to charge what you want. If people won't want it, you get to jack the prices up.
So they create a scarcity.
Which drives up the price by the what? Out of necessity. If you buying ubiquitous items, that's the word we use a lot, right? What are ubiquitous items? Items that you use what? More than average, right? Sometimes every day. Like how many of you guys, yeah, I don't know what you eat, right? But I'm pretty sure you got some soy in it, some corn in it, some sugar in it, right? Some rice, surrounding it. All right. Some, y'all see what I'm saying? Some orange juice in it, I going on, coffee.
Some chicken breast costing me $18 for a whole packet. I'm like, what?
See, you can track that. You can track the chicken, the chicken data and chicken dynamics. Why? Because you know who the biggest producers of chicken on the planet. You can look this stuff up. Especially here in America, who's some of the biggest chicken farm producers in America? Y'all know it on top of your head. You see them in the grocery store when you go by. Tyson, Purdue. See, I'm sorry. Did you have to go to school to learn that? Did you have to be a farmer to know that?
Not at all.
So you're knowing this stuff just by being a consumer over years, right? Over time, understanding that, supermarkets, whatever. So you're seeing all these things from what? Start to finish. So that's what makes us unique. If you're an investor, you get a chance to what? Follow that, literally, that chicken from a chick to a bird, a producing bird, right? To dressed and clean, because that's a process, dressed and clean. It costs money to dress and clean a bird. They put in the package, that's a cost in itself, because the plastic, the container that it goes in there, put a SKU on it, right? Meaning the price value based upon, the natural going rate of chickens, whether you're trying to outbeat your competitor or not by a few cents here and there based upon the quality of your bird, and then on the shelf, so the tax that the store gonna put on too, where they can make theirs off the top. You're seeing that whole process.
Yeah.
What if that process is changed or altered, even as much as maybe 15, 20 cents? If it's 15, 20 cents from the wholesaler, what you think the retailer gonna do? You think they're gonna still pass that 15, 20 cents and eat their revenue? Or you think they're gonna pass the extra cost off to you? Jack the price up a little higher.
Jack it up.
They're gonna jack it up.
Especially when more people are on benefits, they definitely are gonna jack it up because they believe that people not paying for it anyway.
Which is another conversation in itself. Why? Because fixed income people, what? If inflation goes up on them, even as much as 5 or sometimes even 10%, what does that do to their fixed income?
It devalues it.
So the importance of CPI is very important, is it not?
Yeah.
Very important because you're tracking things from again, base level all the way to what? The innovation, better mousetrap aspect of it. You're taking a raw soybean and turning it into what? A chicken breast. A bowl of milk, a hamburger patty, a little old soybean. I'm finna really make you throw up right now. Excuse me for saying that, but you taking that soybean and seeing it turn into a what? Monofilament line, plastic.
Right.
Well, that's what it was made for.
Rice too. That's where that plastic rice comes from.
George Washington Carver produced the soybean to be able to what? Produce, fiber cores and plastics for the military. True story. 100% hybridized, not natural little item that causes the health. Leave that alone, because people from the come from me now. They're gonna come from me, man. But get home, but watch out. But you on that damn Dr. David stuff. Here you go. I'm just calling the fact. Don't come to me. Go to Dr. David, all them, and Dr. George Washington Carver. But that's just reality. You're paying more, essentially. So I asked the question in the very beginning, of course, using this as the case study of understanding how CPI data works in terms of as an investor, the importance of it. The importance of it, which you figured out is very important. You don't think about it until you have to till you feel it, right? So how do we know that the CPI data that came out there that everybody was looking for, right? Meaning not just people on America show, but people from Asia, Europe, Middle East, India, Africa, South America. They was watching that CPI data for us today too. Why? Because either they're importers or exporters of some of those same goods. It affects them too. And the difference is they have a currency exchange, degradation. You see what I'm saying? They having to pay more if our prices are up, and they already got a low exchange on their currency. If we're getting 92 to 95 cents for every dollar of our currency, the exchange for them is they're getting a lot less for theirs. Isn't that what's happening in Africa right now? They just outright blatantly robbing the Africans. They got all the mineral resources on the planet, and they're giving them what? 16th to 8th. 1/3 is 2. But again, I'm wearing all saying out. The 1/4, the 1/16.
Use their own resources.
No fair trade value in that. And then they taking those, getting them at basically not even wholesale price. They're getting the homeboy hookup price. Manufacturing it and selling it across the world at what? High marginal prices. Because they can price their stuff at the going rate globally, and they know people gonna buy it. So this is the extent of how important the CPI data is at a most basic ground level, understanding of what it is. So a lot of y'all like, man, but all right, dang, bro, hey, that's deep, right? That's deep down. I ain't think about it like that. Or is it, I don't see the importance of, well, I do, because now you've seen what the market did in reflection of that data today. Did y'all not? Somebody taking it serious. Why? Because time and money is also transit when it comes to what? These commodity prices that make up these markets. These markets are what? Publicly traded too. As you see here on the screen. What is this? Coffee. U.S. coffee futures. Okay. Again, I asked y'all the question I posed in the very beginning. I'm going to repeat it again, because I know some people came in later. How do we know that the CPI data was going to come in hotter than what the estimates were coming into today? The number rendered 7.5% increase today. We know it's higher than that, but we'll play their game, government game, because they don't want to take L's properly. But how do we know it's going to be bigger than 7.2 estimate? Anybody?
Tracking the commodities market.
Say it with your chest open.
Tracking that commodities market.
Is this some special information that only Warren Buffett gets? Paul Tudor Jones? Ray Dalio? Any of these guys?
Sir.
Do you have to have a special membership to get this information?
No, sir.
MIT education?
Negative.
What about Harvard, Yale? Come on, you got to be from Harvard to Yale, bro.
Nah.
Well, how you know this, black man? You ain't got no business knowing this information. Get back to work. See how to do you? Not outside your pay grade. When you learn how to track money, I'm saying it for this because guess what a commodity is? Commodity no more than a form of what? Money. Those bartering system, what was the bartering system back in those days? I got rice, you got potatoes. Let's what? Let's do business. Both of them carry a certain value. If at the time rice was more valuable than potatoes, guess what? You had to relinquish more potatoes to get what? That one bag of rice. Make sense? Not rocket science. It's not. And they were able to track that through the monetary system that they have in play, whatever they use for the medium exchange. If it wasn't the actual item itself, they had a form of an intermediate change of currency that they use, right? A piece of metal, whatever, a shekel or whatever, right? What you got? I got, man, racks of shekels. We made a comment about that today early on the live stream that, over Christmas, like, what if they, remove the gold, the dollar and put us on the gold standard to fight inflation? I said, wouldn't that be something, right? We went through the different ideas of what that would look like. And then it came down, we made a joke about it. It's like, wouldn't that be funny if you watch a joke on the rap video? You see them, they got what? Big old megaphones or what? Money phones? Imagine joke got blocks of gold to their ear. Guess what? It'd be real small then, but it would. You won't have them big old wads of fiat currency that ain't worth the paper it's printed on, right? The value of it, but put some gold bars to your ear. Now you talking about, you got some, all right, jokers don't want to play around. I'm waiting for the first rapper to do that. If I see a rapper do that, you got my attention, bro. Look at it, you get the award of the year for the most smarter rapper ever. Why? Because that means he has appreciating assets right there. Show me how money appreciates. In its base case, it does not. it's only pegged to what people think the value of it is. Make sense? And then therefore the value of what the government sets into it. It's not worth the paper that's printed on. We know that fiat currency, right? We understand that. But it is pegged to real items, as you see right here on your screen. Coffee, oats, heating, aluminum, fossil fuel, y'all get it, or soybeans, zinc, nickel. It's pegged to all these things, real items. So they're using monopoly money to buy real goods. But the importance of you understanding the price of commodities, how would that be a what? A moot endeavor. Of course, this is very important. You maybe have thought in your mind that you would never have to use information like this. Like, I don't need to worry about that. What's the use? I don't need to worry about that. Well, if you're an investor, how important is it? I'm asking for a friend. How important is learning this information now? Anybody?
It's imperative.
It's vital.
Very important, right? Very vital. Why? Because you can form an investment thesis off of it. Could you not? You know you have access to trade these same items, right? Or invest in them, right? All day, every day. Rich B, he just did it recently. He took a position on what? On the same stuff we've been talking about beating the drums on lately. Because the price of it going up. What were we talking about for the last couple of weeks as far as commodities? Actually, it was longer than that, but we do it off and on intermittently just to keep people minds set on it. What was that commodity, Rich? If you able, say again, Ober?
Corn.
No, what was the item that we were talking about as far as investment that was going up as far as inflation? That was a great opportunity to look into.
Silver, nickel.
No, the one that you traded, Rich.
Oh, oil?
The contract dealing with who?
Aluminum.
Alcoa, aluminum.
What do Alcoa manufacture or produce or distribute?
Yeah, they produce everything.
Aluminum, right?
Yes, aluminum.
See, you can track it from company, equity holding, raw product, goods, services, either the holder or the producer, all the way down to its raw form. Now, again, I'm gonna keep posing this question as we go through this case study to keep y'all focused on the importance of how we know to track this data ahead of what? Even Wall Street or people who play dumb to understand how this stuff doesn't work. We finna supersede them real quickly. How did we know that the CPI data was gonna come in bigger than what their estimates were? How were we able to track that?
The commodities and maybe the increase in the aluminum price.
But that's just aluminum, but I'm just saying commodities period, right? Because the CPI data deals with what? All commodities, right? It deals with all of them.
Wait, I'm sorry, Ober, what did you say?
As far as what? I'm sorry.
What was the question? How were we able to?
How were we able to? How were we able to figure out that the CPI data, which came out today, right? That big governmental readout that came out today, that made the markets squirrely and drop, obviously. Right? How do we know that piece of data was going to come out bigger or hotter than the expectations of what Wall Street was waiting on, or at least Washington and some of these little pundits? Because some would say that's insider information, right?
Mm-hmm.
Well, how do we know that it was going to come in bigger? Because this was information that they couldn't hide from the average intelligent investor, right? Benjamin Graham, go get that book, right? The Intelligent Investor, worth reading. Get the freedom though, of course. But go ahead. Somebody about to say something?
I was gonna say, would the answer be fundamental analysis, because that's the way we actually can find out before it actually came out, is by
research
doing our due
methodology.
diligence. Yeah,
that's a part of research methodology, 100%. That's the value you go about figuring it out. You go through what? It's a fundamental readout, right? Because it's binary numbers, right? It's values attached to it. Make sense? So 100% right. It's a fundamental readout, which the CPI data is. It's a fundamental readout, right? Of valuation, right?
What's CPI?
So if you ask that question, you got to first do what?
Go do my research. I'm gonna go look it up right now.
You know, yeah, you in that same circle, Sister Leno. Our brother Urema Karama. You familiar with Urema Karama, right? Our brother Urema. How many of y'all know about our brother Urema Karama? He got this little segment he do on his channel called what? Look it up. And that's how he said it too. Right? Our brother be on it, right? He say what? Look it up, right? Because everything that you're going to embark on in this industry, you have to exhaust the resources to trying to figure out where the rabbit hole goes before you get stuck to the point where you got to what? Then go for another what? Opinion or two, second, third opinion. Make sense? You have to put in that data, right? That data research, right? So when when we're in the midst of getting this, because you're gonna have to what? Again, what we say, least path of resistance, right? Least path of resistance. Get that information. If the information then stumps you and you still can't unpack it or unscramble it, then you come to you what? Hey, I'm lost here. Can y'all help me take it a step further? When you're doing this in real time, with real money on the table, nanoseconds matter. Nanoseconds, right? Nanoseconds, right? That's the importance of it, right? Because the intent of the information in terms of people taking position or getting out of position, it matters in the moment of what? Literally sometimes seconds, does it not? Y'all realizing that now as traders, right? You might, man, my entry price was here. I wanted to get it at this price. Now I'm paying for it at what? This price. We were getting aluminum prices before inflation and COVID at what? These prices. Now after COVID, we're paying for aluminum prices at what? These prices. Make sense? What caused that?
Yeah.
Well, we know what caused it. Now you need to know how to track it. Because most of the majority of the items you have in your house right now got aluminum in it. Your baking soda, shots fired. Toothpaste, but you got aluminum dating in everything. Deodorant. Causing all this cancer. I'll leave that alone. It's the most ubiquitous metal on the planet. Aluminum goes into everything. See, we're talking about ubiquitous items. We talked about a ubiquitous agricultural grain. We talked about that between what? Corn versus soy. Which one is used more? Obviously, we figure out soy was, right? The same thing on the metals, right? What do you think is used more? Gold, silver, aluminum, iridium, rhodium, right? I say iridium, threw that in there, got you, right? Vibranium. How much a metric ton of vibranium right now? Anybody know the price of vibranium right now?
You talking about the stuff that's mined in Wakanda?
How much it going for right now on the commodity market? Anybody? So Shanika, how much ounce of vibranium going for right now?
Vibranium, that I can't see it in here. It's not on the light. It's not on here, right? On the list. You want me to look it up? Look it up.
Now you know that's inside, right? I did that for how much I gotta ask. I'm gonna ask. All right, I'm gonna ask our family David, right? Where you at, over David? Over Sean, maybe one of y'all. How much an ounce of vibranium going for right now? Anybody? Brother Jeremy, anybody? Brother Jermaine, anybody? How much an ounce of vibranium going for right now?
It's 10,000 per gram.
So Andy say 10,000 per gram. Anybody want to challenge that? Anybody unsure?
Wow.
Anybody? Jokers ain't ready to jump out that window, huh?
How much would you say an ounce?
How much an ounce of vibranium going? An ounce of vibranium going for right now?
Nothing.
28,000.
How much? 28,000?
28.
Oh, say Somebody said 28,000. Somebody else said something. Somebody just give an else. Who was that?
Ounce, zero, nothing.
Who just said that?
Sam's.
Brother Al. So you mean tell me an ounce of vibranium ain't going for nothing? Is $0 for it?
Zero.
How you know that?
Because it's fictional.
How do you know it's fictional?
Because I think we heard that on Black Panther.
Nah, it's real.
No,
Hold
bro,
on,
it's fake. It's Wakanda.
It's
Oh, okay.
it's 0.005654 USD.
What the hell? I'm looking at something
Y'all
else.
missing over. Hold up.
I was
Hold
looking.
up.
When I
Sonny had
first
the
looked
ball.
it
Oh
up,
yeah, cause I'm looking
When I-
at something
Hold
else.
up.
Maybe I'm looking at the wrong thing because I'm looking at something else that's telling
I was looking
a
at
whole different ballgame
comic
on the prices.
Marvel Comics
Oh,
price
Sonny
of
said,
it.
hold up, bro. Y'all, I seen that number something. Well, don't play with me.
I was looking at Marvel Comics price of it, but then I saw another. Let me
Marvel
make sure I'm
comic
looking
prices.
at-
Notice that. So, but I was
I was looking
ass
at the
right.
wrong
We know
thing.
it's a fictional
The
matter,
live
right?
vibranium price today is $1.53. One place has $1.53 with a 24-hour trading volume of 726.17 USD. But another place has the live price at 0.005654.
So you see how these
then-
people
It's
then made a fictional metal into an actual tradable
Yeah.
what entity?
because I hear it say pure vibranium retail is about 4,000 a gram. I mean 10,000 a gram.
Now you know that's as much as I know as well as everybody else know that's theoretical. Now convince
I
me
was
how
looking
y'all
at
know
the
somebody
Marvel
ain't gonna go buy it. Somebody gonna go buy it too.
According to the comics, the material costs that.
I'm gonna go buy
Yeah.
$10,000
I'm
for a
bugging.
gram or ounce of vibranium.
I ain't gonna lie. If they had a ticker, I sure would see what it do in the pre-market.
Look at that. Look at this joker here. Y'all got them start now. What y'all do? Don't do
When
it.
we use their brand name, that's the cost. But they got something.
Something. Now y'all know better, right? Shame on y'all.
They're fighting over where
Shame.
Wakanda is. Either it's here in America or it's in Africa. Ambassador, what's his name? Ambassador Prince.
How the saying go? How the saying go? I was born at night, but not last night.
I'll tell you what it is.
I was born at night, but not last night. Because they know somebody out there who caught up in what?
The hype.
They're trying to create.
They will sell you in. How the saying goes? You can sell what? Water to a well.
They're trying to create a new commodity in the United States, a natural resource.
Why is that a scenario? Because they know people don't have what proper research methodology.
Like
They'll say that your lack of understanding, that's on you. Once that cash register go ching ching, we have no refund policy. And then the agent
I'm thinking right
no
now.
refund policy.
I'm thinking right now that's no different than when people are creating these altcoins in the garage and putting them on the internet and people are buying into them.
No different. So how do we separate even the altcoin back? I know this is sidebar, but this is good knowledge. Why? Because people need to hear this and understand this so that way you don't fall victim to what? A lack of what? Knowledge, right? How do people perish? From a lack of what? Knowledge. Their research methodology skills are poor, or they are just lazy, intellectually lazy, and don't even want to put in the research. They're just going to take face value for it and run with it. Ain't that something?
Yeah, I almost did
Your
that.
laziness just cost you how much? $10,000, $500 here, $100 here, $30 here, $4 here. It adds up, does it not? Imagine if a scammer did that 24 hours a day. All he needs is what, about 4 or 5 people. He eating good for the rest of the week. We're in the business of what? Overthrowing all that. You're running a business. How important is it if you lost time or value or any of that in your business and you got set numbers or goals that you're trying to obtain? That could be very costly. If not physically, but mentally taxing, because no one likes to take an L. Not that you can't and you won't, but the idea that if you could have caught that before it became that problem, as they say, an ounce of prevention is worth more than a pound of flesh. Ain't that the saying? You've heard that before, right?
Yep.
An ounce of prevention is more than a pound of flesh. Don't be the people or the person who plan that a pound of flesh. You're giving up a pound of flesh every other day because you refuse to research and take your time to learn exactly what's necessary. An ounce of prevention is worth more than a pound of flesh. Let's go. This is how we were able to track that data was going to come out bigger than the number that they were trying to put out for as an estimate. Again, I have no special link to this. This is invested.com. This is a public website. Public. And so what's the data? The CPI data is from what? Month to month, right? Y'all with me there? The CPI data comes what? From month to month on a fiscal calendar. Y'all with me? Y'all understand that? Anybody not sure?
Yes,
That's
yes.
what we're here for. We're here to learn, guys. This is our training.
I'm not sure.
Right? So that data comes out month to month. CPI data, Consumer Price Index, comes out from 1 month to the next month. It's a form of tracking the price of what? Goods, in this case, commodity more so than anything, on a month-over-month basis. This is how they keep up with that data. Whether or not you paying more at the grocery store, at the pump, or whatever, this is how you come figure out. If a person price gouging you because of your demographic, right? They're just being greedy. If they charge you a 60, 70 cents, what? Upcharge or tax on a good or service that you're buying, and you come back and look at what the overall national value of what that item would cost, the ancillary item of it would cost, or the natural item would cost, and it's what? It's trading it dang near the negative or a lot less. Guess what? You just caught your neighborhood scammer. And you put the folks on it. That's intelligence. That's learning how to track every penny you got going out or coming in. Or if somebody trying to get over on you. We're talking everyday information, but it's next level what? Interest level. Your interest level just bumped up a whole nother what? A whole nother what? What the little Dragon Ball Z? You went from what? Level what? Level 2 to level 3? Level what them things levels is? You leveling up right now. Why? Because this is an investment thesis that can come from the back end of this. Again, I was speaking about Rich. He just utilized it with Alcoa. That stock been on a tear. I bought it in the earnings when it was like $56, $55 a share. It squeezed, they ain't stopped squeezing yet. Now it's sitting up here, it went up here like they in the 80 something recently, or 70 something, high 70s, mid 70s, somewhere around there. Because the price of aluminum is doing this right now. It ain't even going up into the right in 45-degree angle. The price of aluminum going up more like in a what? 55 to 65 to 70-degree angle. Because of what? Supply chain issues, ubiquitous nature, demand of it. Couldn't make this stuff up. Are y'all seeing the connection now? Is it making sense, guys? The connection that I'm building here. How you can attract, even track investment ideas based upon reading these little basic numbers you see on your screen. CPI data, of course, in terms of it coming in hotter than 7.2 estimate. Look right here. See this 1 month, thing right here? Matter of fact, let's filter from the best to the worst. 1 month, and we're gonna see the importance of some of the items. Can y'all see my screen right now? Is it still showing the investing.com?
Yeah.
Y'all see it?
Yeah, still showing.
Just last month alone, from December, or basically January, the month of January, what came in the hottest? What commodity price? What commodity came in at the highest price or at the highest return on investment in the last month?
Palladium.
You see it open, palladium, right? Clear as day. Y'all see that there? Anybody unsure about that? Anybody don't understand what's going on here? Palladium came in at a what? Whopping 17% return. Right? That's an ugly little circle there, but y'all get it, right? Let me do it this way here. 17%. Can y'all invest in palladium? Can you trade it? You sure can. 17% return. Under the table, quietly produced a nice little 17% on a monthly basis. What came in next? This one here gonna really get you going, right? We talked about this a while back. What came in after palladium? Y'all see it right here? Let me blow my screen up. Maybe y'all can blow my screen up.
Lean hog?
What is it? What is it, open?
Lean hog.
Lean hog? Or lean, what we saying? Lean hogs?
Yeah, lean hogs.
Lean hogs.
Grunt, grunt.
All y'all bacon and fat back eaters and backstrap eaters and what that Malcolm X said. All you gut eaters. Malcolm said you're gut eater.
That's because of the
Go ahead. Somebody about go in.
I'll say that them chitlins ran it up.
Look at you, the chitlins ran it up. No, it's the price to what? To rear, dress, and package and skew that price of hogs and going up. Now here's how it gets diabolical. Now I'm gonna take y'all there. The price of lean hogs going up is also conducive to what? What you what? Feed it. If your feed then went up, your corn, your soy, whatever you use, right? If those prices up, that means the price of your what? Your item is up too. You with me there? Does it make sense? Everybody get hit. The corn that they feed the hogs with is up. Therefore, the hogs price is going to be up too. That's a price you have to pass on. It's a chain, guys. This is a chain. This stuff is not rocket science. It's different because we never probably looked at stuff like this because we like, man, what's the importance of that? Girl, I ain't got no hogs in the backyard. I got pit bulls and German shepherds and Rottweilers, bro. I ain't got no hog tied up in the backyard. Well, maybe you should. Because that lean hog probably more expensive than that little pit bull you got back that you praising every day. That ain't barking at nothing probably. That lean hog costing a rack more than a few racks right now. Make sense? 14%. Go ahead, E. You about to say something? 14% in 1 month. Lean hogs went up 14%. These are the top. We're gonna do the top. We'll do the top 15, top 20. Lean hogs up 15%. Now I'm gonna ask this question here, and it all makes sense. What's the ubiquitous nature of hogs? Do people use hogs or the byproducts of hogs more than average? How many people eating bacon, loins, pork this, pork ribs, pork whatever, pork feet, pork ears, pork neck, pork nose, pork whatever, pork trotter, pork inside, pork stomach, pork belly. How many people are eating those things on average?
A lot.
Would y'all say a lot, moderate, or less?
Say a lot, especially in different cultures.
So not just in America, but around the world, right? Do y'all think we export our hogs as well, our lean hogs as well to other nations?
Yeah, I would say so.
It's up 14% in 1 month. Now imagine a nation down in Brazil that wants some, or somebody else that if their currency is less than ours, so they're paying more for their currency what? For our product, because our products are pegged to what? Our dollar, right? If we the reserve currency, that means they're paying more for it. And of course we are too, because we Now wouldn't be interested to figure out, now y'all can go a little deeper. Where do the bulk of the hogs that Americans eat come from? Well, we know one of the biggest pork producers here in America is who? Matter of fact, right here on the East Coast. Right here on the East Coast. Good old state of North Carolina. What's the plant right there in North Carolina? World-renowned plant too. It's a world. When y'all go buy your little Christmas and Thanksgiving ham, what's the company that be on that sticker?
Tyson.
We talking about hogs here. Think about it. I'm gonna start writing it. Then when y'all get it, y'all jump in there.
Smithfield.
Come through. Say it with your chest. Who?
Smithfield, Walmart.
Smithfield is one of the biggest pork producers in America. Am I lying or am I telling the truth?
That's Walmart people. Mhm.
How can we track that? We go look it up. With my brother Garima Karam, look it up. Smithfield. Because guess what? What goes in that lean hog, right? What don't come from my little drawing here now, but I'm just gonna draw a little fake little right, little pig here, right? Right. What go into feeding that pig? What did it take to feed that pig? See the next one right here?
Soy.
Soy. What else they feeding it?
Corn.
Right. So corn, right? See that corn right here? Corn, soy right there. Maybe oats every now and then, right? Who knows, right? The soy sitting up here at number 3. If the price of soy then went up 13% to that farmer that buys soy to feed they little lean hog to fatten it up, they cost went up too. Make sense? Y'all see the domino effect here, the chain here, the cycle. So that means by way of that, they have to charge more for the what? For the what? The lean hog. Come on, guys, y'all know this stuff, right? We just never had a chance to really look at it for the importance of it. Ain't that something? You feel it at the grocery store. They stress testing your pocket to see how much you are willing to pay for it. Are they not?
I remember a rib at Walmart. A rib used to cost about $14. Now they want $20.
They're up near $20 for a rack. Where my gonna get your sucker people at? Let me get an order of ribs. One order of ribs. No, I just want one rib. One rib? Yeah, I sure as ain't hungry. Let me get one rib. One rib? You buying one rib. Not one pack of rib, but one little bone. One little. I know I ain't the only one that saw I'm gonna get the sucker. Maybe I have. I don't know. I'm old school with it.
Yep.
I couldn't have been the only one to seen that movie. Boy, that's a classic in the Black community. Boy, I'm gonna get you sucker. Man.
It really is.
Classic. All-star cast, everybody in that movie too. All-star cast. Chris Rock, let me get one rib. That jiggle pulled out a knot of money, a wall. Let me get a drink of soda. My cup costs 25 cents. Man, pour them a hand for a nickel. Come on, boss, man. Pour them a hand for a nickel. That jiggle pulled out a wad of money from their coat. You got change for 100. Boy, he's gonna put all kind of boots in his behind. Boy, you don't get out of here. You see how this stuff work? Lean hogs, oats, corn, all attached. All those items are up month over month. This was the number 2 most expensive item in the commodity markets last month. Lean hog, meaning I say expensive, meaning the price of it went up 14 plus 5%, even though it may not cost that of an ounce of palladium. But if you got more value of within the growth of it, within it, you see what I'm saying? That price of it is even more valuable in terms of the growth, right? Of the I should say not even the growth, but the value of it has went up that much more. I should say. Let me say it that way, not to confuse people. Are you guys following me here? Are y'all tracking this?
Yes.
Is it making sense?
No.
So what's being a little confusing, since Mr. Nico?
Where did you get the 17% increase from?
So are you following my screen right now by any chance, or is it not? Let me see, because
I just got to how you got there, so I'm in the same screen you're in now.
It should be showing. It ain't sharing.
I see lean hog 0.8, and it goes across 3.76,
Okay.
right?
It's good. Okay, so you seen it. My bad. I thought you may have been trying to look it up on your own. No, follow my screen. Follow my screen. I know you want to look it up too, but follow my screen, because we're in training. No, this training. You good? I'm putting it out there so you can have it, right? And it's recorded too. So when you backtrack, or you can do it in real time, you keep up. That's what the workshop is, right? We're gonna do this in real time. I want y'all to figure out this is how you come fish to get this information, right? It's right here, investing.com, free website. Of course, you can go to other ways and get it too, but I'm just using this because it's very quick and to the point, right? So that way you're good. Make sure you're good, sis. Right. So right there, again, it's the nose number 2 in terms of what you know, biggest gainers on the month, right? And again, I asked the question, how much do people use lean hogs in America, or hogs period? How many people eating bacon every day? Ham sandwiches, pork loins. Over Al talked about how what a rack of ribs now up $20 and it used to be 14. So you're seeing it in real time. There ain't no excuse. You're knowing what's going on because you're able to track it. Number 3, soy. Soy went into feeding hogs. All that. Look at that. 13% on the month. I asked the question, what's most used? Corn or soy? And you guys said what? A mixture of what? Both, right? Corn and soy. But obviously what? Soy went up, you know, more than what? Corn, because it's mostly widely used. We sell a lot of soybean to Asia, obviously. Asia buys a ton of soybean from America. What is the second biggest producer of soybean on the planet? Anybody know by the chance? We followed this data. We did this data like way years ago. We looked this up years ago. We did it on actually one of our live streams too. What is the second largest producer of soybean on the planet? Who is the second largest producer of soybean on the planet? What country? Anybody want to take a guess at it? Anybody want to take a stab at it?
Brazil.
Who? Sorry.
What question?
Brazil, South Africa.
What country is the big brother Al on it? But he working both. He probably remember and he probably looking up. See,
what was the question,
Cash App you, bro? Second open. Somebody said something.
What was the question?
All right. What country or what nation is the second largest producer of soybean on the planet?
Oh.
And we did this information on this like literally a couple years ago. I'm not lying. We got the live stream to prove it. Right? We broke all this stuff down even then. Because at that time, or even actually before that, 3 years, because at that time we were dealing with what? Tariffs. Remember the tariff war with Trump and President Xi of China? And because they was in their feeling to fighting each other, China did a workaround. We were the biggest producer of soybean. Remember, Trump was mad because he kept trying to get China to buy more soybeans. They kept reneging on a deal to buy more soybeans. Y'all remember that? I'm gonna refresh y'all memory. It was all over the news, wasn't it? Was it not? They were like, no, they're supposed to buy this much of soybean, and China was sitting there, what, reneging on it, wasn't it?
Yeah.
They was like, bro, look at him. All right, I'm gonna show y'all.
South America.
So wait.
They went right to where?
They went down to South America, right?
And what country in South America? We did live on it. That's how come I
Is
know
it,
you remember.
Brazil or Venezuela?
Brazil. Over Alden already dropped the dime on it. They went right. Brazil is the second largest producer of soybean on the planet. Did y'all know that before right now? Some of y'all did, but you know, it's important, isn't it? So Shanique, I see you. What you got?
If if a commodity or commodities are being produced by a certain country and those commodities are going high, could you say that that also would increase the value of the dollar in that country, or like for trading on Forex?
Well, it would increase the value of that commodity per spot value, right? Because they still paying now. Commodities still having what they call a base case value, but their product, because they're producing it, right? So it's going to be based upon their currency, obviously in that case, right? But in the case, let's say in that particular perspective, right? We know the Chinese dollar is what is yuan, right? The yuan is stronger than the what? Right? What is the currency they use in Brazil? By any chance, anybody know? Any of my Forex people in the house?
You said
What's the
what?
currency they use in Brazil? Anybody know the currency? Sidebar, right? But we know the yuan is stronger than their currency, right? Obviously, right? Because besides the British pound or euro, the Chinese yuan is basically what, number 2 or number 3, right? Obviously about number 3, right? Because that's
I think it's called the Brazilian real or something like that.
Their currency, right? So you already know you have to give up so many of those to get equal to that of what, 1 yuan, right? Of Chinese money. Make sense?
Yeah.
Now they got pricing power, or if they feel like they can get more of the commodity, because they're striking deals, of course, like anything. The more you buy, the cheaper the price supposed to go. But if they spike in America because they got a cold war with America, don't want to buy our little dusty little what, soybean, right? They go to Brazil, get it at a cheaper price, and they get more and probably better grain, organic, and they can probably still pay a little bit better what they call because there's a thing called fair value, right? Fair trade value, right? There's agencies that are in place that are supposed to also make sure these people get at least fair value of what their crops is based upon their currency levels too. That's a little intricate, but it's there. That information is there. In the interim of that, soybeans in America were doing what? Rotting in fields and rotting in silos. True story. It was publications all over the news about that during that time. American farmers were livid. They were ready to fight Trump, and they voted for him. Y'all remember that? Them farmers were PO, bro. I got all these soybeans. They just sitting in the field rotting, or the silos of field, and they just rotting.
No.
He promised us that we'll be able to what? Have unlimited export power and this, that, and the third. Them people look ready to come to Washington with pitchforks. True story. That was even back then, and here it is still at number 3 on the inflationary chart in terms, of just what? Surging growth value, 13% in 1 month. Is it starting to make sense now, guys? I'm on the 3 of them in. Three commodities in. Is it starting to connect the dots now? Is the breadcrumbs starting to make sense to y'all guys now?
That's why China is so important. They produce all the goods.
They definitely want to be in control of the commodity market because it's the most ubiquitous lane that one can what? Possess a lot of power. You got to eat, bro. You got to build your house. You got to what? Put gas in your car. You got to what? Put aluminum, aluminum in everything. Is it making sense? As we say, make it make sense, right? Dollars and cents.
I want to look at lumber. Lumber numbers.
We going there. We ain't even got done. We at number 3 still. But y'all with me though? Is it making sense though? Are we connecting the dots now in terms of the question I asked in the very beginning? I'm gonna keep posing it in between our conversation here. I posed the question: how do we know that the CPI data is going to come in bigger than what Washington was saying, the Wall Street pundits were saying, the analysts were saying? How do we know it's going to come in bigger than their estimates? Their estimates were at 7.2, 7.3 on the high end. One person maybe put out 7.4. How do we know it's going to come in bigger than that or hotter than that?
The commodity
because they didn't add into the goods and commodity.
Well, no, they did. They just did, but they tried to be what? They tried to be slick.
Yeah, they always forget to add food and energy.
That's the part of that they actually leave out, isn't it?
Yep.
Ain't that something?
Purposely, they think it's separate.
Couldn't make this stuff up because it says what? It's a volatile readout.
Yeah.
Couldn't make this stuff up. That only just changed in the 80s. They used to do it, or it was the 90s or the 80s. One of them. They used to add it in there.
Yeah. No,
and then they tried to be slick and not add it because they try to say it's a volatile readout. No, you put it in there because it's everyday items that most people buy more than anything: gas and food.
Right. No inflation either doubled than what they actually saying.
But they still can't run from it. Why? Because it beat them up on the back end through another lane. Because these same goods and services that are also needed for the other things that is tracking the CPI, it goes into what they do too. We just showed you that example through what? The lean hogs. What do lean hogs eat? Soy and corn. How are you gonna get around that? You gonna start digging baits in the backyard, worms, and feeding the worms or something, maybe? You feeding it what? Real bones and fish bone like you got a pit bull? What you gonna feed? They'll eat, of course. You get my point though. But these are mainstream farmers. They ain't raking the stuff off their dinner table to feed the trough of they pigs and hogs, bro. They got feeder bags for that. And they buying it in bulk at a higher price, which gonna make them charge more for they hogs. It's not that even the corn or the soy they feed them is any better organic value wise. It's just the price of it then going up, bro. Make sense, guys? It's the dots connected now. I know I'm gonna go a little deeper here. I know I'm gonna have to go a little deeper. That's fine. We're gonna slow walk it. We're gonna slow walk it. Y'all signed up for this. Don't get scared now. Don't get quiet now. Don't run. You signed up for this. Let's go. You want to take it to the next level? This is the stuff that we do. We don't do all that. We just gonna go over 1,000 charts only, and everybody sign up. Goodbye. We're gonna do fundamental, technical, and investor sentimental values every day. That's the part of our rubric. case point and period. Everything that falls underneath those subtitles, we finna touch everything that we possibly can. All that our brain can hold. Don't run now. Here's your chance to sign off and just say, I'm gonna call it a night, bro. I'm good. Right, I'm straight. I'll come back on the next one when y'all talking about, buy at the top, sell at the bottom or something. It's all right. It's okay. I value you guys' time. I'm not finna waste your time. We just said time and money, right? Time is an invaluable commodity. It's the one thing people can never get back when they waste it. And it's the most expensive thing that can cost you if you lose it or squander it. So I'm not gonna waste your time. I guarantee you that. And we're gonna learn something in the process. Why? Because if you're an investor in this game, guess what? You just missed out on 17% gain on the Palladium, 14% gain on the month on what? Lean Hall, 13% on soy, and here come number 4. Oats, bro. Oats, bro. Totes my goats, bro. I heard that little saying they were saying back in the day, totes my goats, right? Oats, though. How ubiquitous is oats, guys? How ubiquitous is oats? Some of y'all got a can of Quaker oats in the cupboard right now. Probably been there about 3 or 4 years, but it's still up there.
Yeah, I think oats is one of the main things they distribute around the globe when they give out like distribution food.
Quaker oats, bro. We talking about Quaker oats. We talking about oats, bro. Creamy wheat, what they got? Creamy wheat, all that stuff, whatever, right? It was wheat, but it's falling in that phylum in terms of grains, right? But oats, we talking about oats. How many people eat oatmeal every day in America? Just America. How many people y'all think eat oatmeal in America on an average basis? If we had to put a number between, let's say 1 out of 10 households, how many households out of 1 out of 10 have some kind of form of oats in their breakfast every morning? 1 out of 10. 8 or 9. Out the gate. Anybody agree with that? Disagree with that? Anybody want to challenge that? Anybody unsure? Anybody don't see the connection? Anybody lost? Anybody what? Needs pull them back in here? What do you need? Anybody? Oats, family, oats.
Where does rice fall at under this?
We getting there. Don't get ahead of it. Don't get ahead of it. We going there. Y'all finna slow walk, y'all. Cause I know how y'all live, but y'all just jump out the like, man. No, we finna slow walk this thing because I want us to be very methodical. I'm not gonna be on long until I plan to be done no later than 10:30 tonight. We've been on all day on the live stream, but I'm gonna get through for the major part of this. I'm gonna connect the dots best I can, and it's gonna be on replay. Go back and rewatch it if necessary. But we're talking about the top commodities over the last month in terms of how we was able to track the value of what the CPI data coming in hotter than expected, than what Wall Street was expecting. How we were able to track it by putting in the work and figuring this stuff out on our own. This information again is not what a pay site. It's free 99. Oats came in a whopping 12%. Ubiquitous nature of oats, very ubiquitous. Everybody got oats in the house somewhere. Quaker oats, whatever oats, steel cut oats, oatmeal cookies, oatmeal pies, oatmeal, pecan crusted cake pan, whatever, all that stuff. Anything with oats in it, look at it, you bought it. Quinoa oat cakes or whatever, what all that. Oat milk is a new explosion right now happening in that side of the thing, of nut milk. Everybody buying oat milk all of a sudden. It was almond milk, and coconut. Now they buying oat milk. Oh man, oat milk. Bruh. Look at what it did on what it's doing right now on the year. On the year, it's up over a year, 1 year aspect, it's up over 106%. Oats are up over 106%. Could make this stuff up. Connecting the dots. There's a lot of things that go into that. Again, people, all that stuff. It's All right. The next one here is, look at it, London, right? You already know it just says London, but we know what it is, right? It's London what? London gas and oil futures. Let me ask you a question. Are there oil wells in Britain, Europe, or parts of what you say, well, we know it's officially Europe, right? Great Britain or mainland Europe, Germany, all that stuff, right? That's what it really, because Europe ain't no continent. They keep lying to y'all, telling you it is not, right? Matter of fact, sidebar, fun fact. What's the definition of a continent, guys? Anybody? What's the definition of a continent? Anybody want to tackle that? You're like, bro, we ain't coming for geography. We came here to get some knowledge on some investment trading, bro. Bro, what that knowledge?
Isn't it? There's a land mass that's surrounded by a body of water, a large body of water, or something like that.
It's Europe surrounded around bodies of water.
It is, but I thought it was an island.
Technically,
it's
no,
Europe.
it's not.
It's Europe surrounded around a body of water. You just read the definition. Oh, I'm gonna ask you again. It's Europe, as we know it to be, surrounded around 360 body of water. Go.
No, because you can actually walk from Europe to whatchamacallit, Turkey.
And Africa too. Gibraltar, right?
Asia.
Well, that's if you go.
For the land,
up.
for that bridge, right?
If you go up and around, yeah, but exactly you can walk from Europe going into Turkey.
Oh, definitely, right? But I'm making fun of it because that Gibraltar land bridge there collapsed since then, right? Well, they destroyed it, who knows? Right? Well, that's another history lesson itself, boy. Hannibal Barker came with them elephants, boy, put that work on them. They had to cut that right out, boy. They cut that. You didn't come up here like that again. Put us on the
United Kingdom. England is surrounded by body of water.
United Kingdom, right?
Yeah.
Well, Britain, basically, right? Britain, right? As they call it. So is Britain a country or a continent? Of course, we know the answer to that, but we got to ask that. Why? Because it's pegged to what?
Britain is a country. It's not a continent.
Europe, and it's attached to Europe too, right? So
Europe
is technically it's attached to Europe as a continent. I mean, as a country, not as a continent. So each one of them are their own individuals, but it's all attached to Europe. Just like being in Italy is its own place, but it's attached to being part of Europe.
So you see the hustle there, right?
Europe is technically a continent.
How so, Obi?
According to their definition of what a continent is, Europe is considered a continent.
So you see the hustle there. You see my point? They trying to use that what? The United Kingdom thing as a what? Sidebar.
Yeah.
Straight hustling.
Right.
Straight hustling.
Ain't no oil wells in England.
And even talk about that on London, Russia bigger than that whole area.
Fact.
Think about the size of Russia and compared to little areas of Europe. And back then, of course, y'all know before they start adding all them things to their little colonies, Spain was not attached to Europe. Portugal was not attached to Europe. A lot of people look more like old Grecians, basically Asiatics than they did what they look like today. They had darker skin. They just recently began to light up over the last 700-800 years, 600 years, somewhere around there, give or take.
Stuff like that.
Okay, you know what? I got it. I got it. So this is why it's considered a continent in itself, because going by the definition, is either a large mass of land a large mass of land surrounded by water, or it says a large mass of land or a large mass surrounded by water.
So let me ask you a question.
So when they connect, listen. Let me drop.
I know you're going there, but I had to stop you quick because I'm on a time schedule. So I'm trying to poke this information.
This is it right here. This is why it's connected with the United Kingdoms, because when you connect each one all together, it makes a large mass. This is why it's connected.
So we already said that for our United Kingdom. That's the hustle. But that's why I turned around and asked y'all the same question. Is that even that with United Kingdom and parts of Spain, Portugal, all that stuff in between, is that area alone in Europe bigger than Russia? Go.
No. Russia. Yeah.
All right, but then again, we don't know because they miscued that map so bad that they got
Russia
us
can't
thinking
If you look at
Russia.
an old almanac or old map, it'll show you the original map.
Actual size.
Yeah, the actual size map. It'll show you. because Africa, of course, is 100 times bigger than what they got it on a traditional map or a
Well, that's
modern
another
map.
conversation. Matter of fact, since we on there, we do all these fun facts tonight, but I'm gonna get off it. Y'all ain't gonna get me on all that, but I love this stuff. Y'all know this stuff. There were two maps, right? Y'all know them, right? It's the what? Peter projection
Peter
and
projections.
the what? And what's the other one?
This current one,
which is
I don't know.
we
I
take a
don't
job
know
at
the
school now.
name of it.
You know what I'm finna tell you real quick. Look it up. I'm finna go on my Urema Karama back. So I'm finna put that work on y'all tonight and look it up. Stop
Hold
playing.
on.
We're too intelligent. We research methodology now. We're researchers now. Look it up. There's two maps, right?
Yeah.
It's controversial for the reason why, because we also know that even the value of the equator denotation, that term, demarcation line, the equator line, all this stuff. How rivers, the magnetic poles work and all that stuff, right? Because now we're going into physics a little bit too. When magnetic poles, right, things are opposite what? They pulling, right? It's the opposite value of that polarization. The Nile River flows which way? North or south?
Is it Merkur projection?
You finna say it. Dick, say it. What is it over? Go ahead. The what? What is it?
Merkel. Hold up. Hold on.
I know you gotta go through it. It's always one of them weird ones.
The Mercator map.
Thank you. It's the Mercator. So Peter projection in the Mercator. The Peter projection got what? What did they do with that map? They put them. Well, okay. I'm not gonna go deep in that. That's another concept. We're doing another live on that another day. But they've been pencil whipping and revising things since forever.
Yeah, because we know the Nile supposed to run south. That's not how, or north, or south, or north.
But no, you said it right. See, no, you said it right. See,
we need
you said it right.
right.
You caught yourself. See, answer looking at you like right now, like, oh, Chris, now you supposed to know this. Now you know what
that river flow down.
Well, yeah, because when you flip the map downward size up,
it flows. That's why they said up. When the ancient Kemetic people, the Ramesh, our ancestors, a lot of our ancestors, they said what? Up south. They say up south, even in the south
down
today.
north. Yeah.
Even in New York today, they say what? Up south.
So Europe is at the bottom. Makes you wonder. We never see the sun up north. I don't never see it up there. It's always south.
I know Jugger right now, like, boy, move on. I ain't signed up for all that, bro. Bro, move on, bro.
If you really want to
people every day, if you got a problem with history, you got a problem with the truth.
It's relative.
You can actually put it to where it's actually Europe would be in the back, because as we travel through the universe, we actually are following the sun. So we will be closer to the sun as they would be in the back. If you want to get technical.
How you look at it, y'all see the pencil whipping and the revision value in that. We know that what revisionist history is one thing that above all things we have to overturn, along with trying to uncolonize the value of a lot of people with misinformation, right? That's why there's a big war on that. If people go to physical all that stuff, it's crazy, isn't it? But the importance of this stuff is right in plain sight. And even the definitions itself don't even agree with a lot of the stuff that they're putting out in itself. But who you gonna question and cry to about it when people controlling got their foot on the information? It's odd when you think about it, right? And we've all seen that little diagram where when you look at the continent of Africa, they didn't fit like what? About 7 or 8 different countries and continents dang near in the whole continent of Africa alone. South America and United States can fit in Africa. And that's just along the base of the east, the western side of it. Couldn't make this stuff up. 100% organic continent. All the other stuff, bro, that you fugazi.
It's cap.
Straight cap.
Yeah.
Straight cap.
They even looking
at
the
what we
difference.
use mostly in daily lives comes from Africa or South America.
As far as what? You talking about commodities?
Yeah.
Well, some of them do. Yeah, of course. Well, okay. Well, even that's a good question, because we're talking about commodities tonight and CPI, right? We talked about this before. Some of the biggest deposits on the planet when it comes to aluminum, iron ore, bauxite, stuff like that. Where are some of those products coming from? North of the equator or south of the equator? Go.
South.
So Brazil, South America, Venezuela, Chile, Africa, etc. Australia. Okay.
Yeah.
Do you see where I'm going with this? So at one point, if there was a complete block landmass before the tectonic plate shifted and broke up a lot of these continents, right? They was all on the same landmass, wasn't it? So all the most richest resource on the planet was south of the equator, as we know it to be, would be really up south, right? Or excuse me, down north. It'll be down north in terms of how the ancestors are. That's why they said use the term down north or up south. Up south would be equivalent to what? If you could look, if you sitting in Kemet right now, or I'm gonna say it politically correct, I don't want nobody to come for me. If you're sitting in Egypt right now, what was up south be? Up south would be places like what?
Somalia, Kenya, Tanzania.
Hello.
All in that area.
All below
Uganda,
the equator.
Congo, on down the Munamatapa Empire, Hutu, the Zulu people, all that stuff.
The warmer climates.
So again, the first so-called Nasut Bedi, or the first pharaoh, came from what? Up south. Narmer, right? Where did he come from?
King Narmer came from
the interior.
Kush.
He came from the interior area of Africa.
Yeah.
The same goes, right? We come from the what? From the valley of the foothill of the what?
Kilimanjaro.
Boom.
Mountains.
Where's Kilimanjaro at? I'm sorry, is that in Algeria? Oh, my bad. It's in my bad. I messed it up. It's in Libya. Kilimanjaro is Libya. My bad. Morocco?
No.
Oh, my bad. I messed it. It's in Spain. Hold on, wait.
No.
You funny, man.
No, you talking about Uzbekistan. Stop playing, bro. You playing with me. Where's Kilimanjaro? Is there any aspect of you figuring out where Kilimanjaro is or is not? Is it even questionable to the way it could be on a piece of land, man?
It's in Tanzania.
And it stretches across, a few couple countries, right? You know it's in the interior, right?
Yeah. It's up
Clear as
south.
day.
Yep.
Up south. Nama came down from those regions.
Facts.
So that means these were what? Neolithic, proto-Bantuic people who were what? In deep south. The revisionist history and racism is what? Everything south of the Sahel are what? Less than racist. Well, the greatest empire ever was constructed. The first pharaoh came out of what? The interior of Africa. That means he brought customs, knowledge, technology, everything with him up to that area to build, down to that area, technically, to build that super empire. And all the customs and tradition and technology came with him from everybody that came from other areas within those interior areas as a metropolitan, and they built that big old what? Conglomerate of a wonder of the world. And they got you thinking the people that there now was, and they
Narmer. What was it? Narmer and Scorpion.
Scorpion King. They even did a movie on it, and they got Scorpion King looking like who? Remember they did with that Dave Chappelle win. They got Joker looking like. A lot of comedians went in on that. Joker looking like, bruh.
Well, they did have the Rock playing Scorpion King later on though.
Later again, the first rendition, but that Joker looked just like Charlton Heston, bro.
Well,
stop
playing.
That just like Charlton Heston, boy. Bruh. Bruh. Couldn't make this stuff up.
That thing was black, super black.
Couldn't make this stuff up.
Jet black.
They left documents. In stone and on papyrus. How you still trying to go against that? Because somebody pencil whipped you out of your what? Your inheritance.
They try to
historical
go inheritance. They try to go against the elements all the time and still get burned. Boy.
Still get burned. Literally. I'm just saying, research methodology is the only way. Again, this shirt ain't by happenstance that we having this conversation. I didn't plan this, but we into it now. Let's go there. Let's what's the mathematical? Again, let's go there. Let's work with that 1/4. Let's work with that what? That 1/6.
My eyes opened up, boy.
Look at it. Look. Y'all know we ain't been in this playing around. talking about pie came out of Arabian nations. The understanding the mathematical equation of pi came out of the Arabic nations. Boy, stop.
Yeah, that's a super major cap, boy.
Not ether came out of Arabic nations. Stop. We had the plumb line and all that stuff way before Imhotep was working with that stuff way before, even before Imhotep. We just broke down the math. Math came from a Black woman. Time, the essential value of time in itself came out the aspect of a Black woman, tracking her menstrual cycle. Over 100,000, 28 days on that bone, that little bumble bone.
Right.
She predates a lot of these jokers by tens of things. Basically, that little bone was dated what, 100,000 plus years? 100,000 plus?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, she was in what? Not intelligent to do that? Something like that? She just lucked on that, lucked up and figured that out. Okay, moving on, bro. I know y'all ain't signed up for that. My bad. Moving on. London oil, London gas and oil futures. I'm sorry, they're pumping a lot of oil out of London right now. Ooh, boy. But an oil tanker trucks coming all out of London right now. Ain't that right, Sister Sneak?
Fake news.
Sister Sneaker's like, don't you put me into that. Don't get me to say yeah to that now. You ain't gonna get me now. I'm gonna research everything. I sign up to say anything now. What you say, Oprah Rich? Straight
Fake
Trump style.
news.
Fake news. So how does London get the control of mineral resource out not even in their own backyard? Because they still have what? Control out of the what?
Dude, that queen, that old pale face over there got a control of a lot of country.
They taking the oil right out of the what? Up north, down south, right? Or what? Up south or what?
Up south.
Down north. They're taking it from the what? Up south nations. The up south nations down there in Ghana and all that they still controlling. That's London oil. I'm sorry, my bad, guys.
Right.
Moving on, but it was up 11.4% last year. Last month, 11%. Gasoline, 10%. The price for a barrel of oil is sitting at what? Basically $90 a barrel, as you see right here on the screen. I ain't making it up. Crude oil WTI, that's the one that we track in America. It's up 89 cents a barrel. $89 a barrel. $89 a barrel. You don't have to guess this. You can come over here and see it yourself. I mean, that's what a going price of a 55-gallon drum barrel of crude oil costs you. Spot prices. Notice I said spot prices. This is a universal price. It's costing you $89 a barrel. You want to buy a barrel of oil, put it in the backyard, make your own gas and oil? Buy that Comex contract and let it exercise. Where you want to ship to, sir? You got OSHA hazard license. If you got that, it's in the backyard. Let's go. Couldn't make this stuff up, guys. Could not make this stuff up. Connecting it out. That's all we're doing here. Gas is up through the roof. We know that, right? We're tracking it. We know what's going on here. Second to that, again, we talk about gas. We talk about soy, right? Gasoline, oats, right? Oats. It changed. Matter of fact, it didn't change a little bit since I just did this here, right? That is moving. It's tracking stuff in real time. Let's know what's happening in real time. It's tracking it. Oats was actually number 3. No, 4. And it just changed, I think. Now it's London gas because the oil is being traded right now. Spot prices up. Couldn't make this stuff up. It's crazy.
Yeah, boy.
Gasoline, cocoa, look, cocoa, 10%. Aluminum, 10%. Aluminum, 10%. They go Alcoa. They go what the other company called Centex, whatever. It's a aluminum company.
Yeah.
Reynolds just went public. Reynolds company. Reynolds wrap that y'all see in the grocery store. They just went public. What, a year and a half ago, somewhere around there.
It's crazy because they've been around so dang long.
Reynolds been forever. Right? Some of y'all were little kids still saw the Reynolds wrap back in the old days.
Yeah, my great uncle used to work for them or retire for them when I was a kid. So
look at them.
Yeah, man, they've been around a long time.
Been lacing barbecue grills since forever.
Yep.
And if you bought that cheese stuff, your meat from the stick. Good luck. You in trouble. You scraping all the meat off with aluminum, you gonna eat all that. You get drunk, eat everything. Let me get that aluminum. I get a little aluminum in my iron, my blood right now. Boy, y'all been there. Don't look at me crazy. Y'all been to college and stuff like that, boy. Joe, get on that cheap Palmer son, boy. You get hungry, boy. You scrape aluminum, you eat aluminum all, boy. You can scrape it all the grill, you eat all of it, bro. I'm good.
Yeah,
I need more metal in my diet. I need a little bit extra metal. Woo, boy, today. Back in the day. Right? Heating oil, same thing. Futures, crude oil, you see here. So US soil, right? There's US soil. US soil on here twice. So there's different values of it, right? You got the futures and you also got the what? Right? They got a CFD futures and they have a what? What's the other one? It's the how's it separated? It's separated from some value. Don't get me to get 100% grade. I got to go pull it up, but it's on here twice. You can see it for what it is. I guess they have a different parcel value of it. Maybe it's the lot size. I think it's the lot size. Right. And some of it could be just from a different, bigger purveyor of it. So they have to keep that purveyor separate. But you see it on here. It's on here what? Like 3 or 4 times, right? You see it here, you see it up here, and you see it up here a couple of times. So that lets you know in itself, America is a real big producer of soy. Again, I'm not going to go through every one of them. I just want to kind of connect the dots enough so you guys can see exactly where we're going with this. Is it making sense now a little bit? Is the dots being connected a little bit better?
Yes, but I just realized it had American flag. So you could check the commodities by countries. How do you do that?
The same way you see it here.
But okay, I mean, like if I wanted to look at commodities in Japan, how
well, guess what? If Japan is a major exporter of a certain commodity that's tracked on the major indexes of commodities, because we talk about these are some of the biggest producers on the planet, right?
Oh.
Because if they're the biggest producer, that means they carry more what? Weight and more value, right? Now there's probably some items being produced in Japan, but Japan on the agriculture side, they actually are more what? Manufacturers of goods and services, and they are just typical growers. Because we're talking about land mass. What's the size of Japan? False land mass. Pretty small, is it? Right? It's a little small, little what? Little what? Island nation, so to speak, right? It's probably a little bigger than Jamaica, give or take. So per square hectometer or per square acre, do they have more agricultural land than that of the Midwest in America?
Oh, okay. All right.
Clearly, clearly not, of course. And they don't have dedicated farm space for that, right? Because they got, house their citizens and all that, right? So they have less, they're not a major export.
So would it make sense in that sense to, if you're looking at investing in commodities, so and let's say I want to narrow down to agriculture, I would look at the places that actually have the most agricultural farming space in their country and produce from there, right?
Yeah, if you want to track it just from a let's say a nominal value, just knowing who are the players in the space. But when we're talking just in this case, the CPI and commodity basis in terms of what we're tracking, what they call with the global commerce, the heavyweights, of course, you'll use this, right? Because this is the benchmark, right? These are the benchmark suppliers of some of the biggest goods and services on the planet, right? Or biggest goods, excuse me, because we're talking commodities here. All right. And then you say, well, okay, well, people in their markets, because they produce because Brazil is not on here, of course, when it comes to soy. Why? Because they trying to what? They got a market that they trying to do themselves for their own value of what? To reap more of what? The benefit. They don't want to be pegged to our markets, right? Or our how can I say it? They don't want to be pegged to our what? Our value readout, right? Because that would be like them being taxed twice, right? Right? If they listen it through our exchanges, then they getting taxed on our side and they getting hurt on the commodity, the currency exchange as well. So they do their direct dealer. They go straight to whoever they want through their exchanges or their economy or their pipeline to help their GDP not get watered down like ours. So we just talked about that. Matter of fact, case in point, we talk about London London oil and gas, right? If London oil and gas is primarily based out of refineries coming out of Africa, you see what's going on there?
Yep.
So Africa GDP can't be bigger than what it really is. They can't get fair value because they're getting usurped by what? London colonization is still there, taking the major aspect of that and saying that, of course, you guys are not, able to refine your own fuel. So by way of that, we the holding company. So we getting our eyes off the top, but we're gonna use y'all resources to do it. Tragic, ain't it? They got all the resources and got somebody else still but being the stepdaddy and stepmama of their situation. They haven't figured out how to refine it the way they need to do it themselves and get the people off their out their pocketbook.
So they could be players in the game, but they could not have their
just say it like we supposed to say it with the check. You ain't got to go in circle. They ain't got their ish together.
So they don't have to have their stuff put in America's trading.
But this is London. We're talking about London oil and futures, right? They can have their own exchange. Well, they got they got exchanges down there, right? Even stock exchanges.
London
and then they ain't getting full value because again, those sidebar, but matter of fact, look at cocoa. I'm gonna ask you the question. You see, right? Cocoa is sitting at around about 7 or 8. How much cocoa grown here in America? Go ahead, Sister Sneak. How much cocoa they growing here in America?
I'm not sure how much you do.
What them cocoa fields at all up and down the south?
Oh wow.
Can you grow cocoa in New York? What about New
so.
England? Can you grow some of it in Michigan? Maybe Minneapolis, Chicago?
Too cold.
In the south side. Some straight old cocoa fields in the south side of Chicago.
Yep, got one in my backyard.
See? Look at that. Oh, Brandon right up there. He know. Because it's a what? It's a southern tropical what? Staple item, right? It only grows in certain areas, right? So you would know because if you travel the East Coast here, the only place you can grow in what? In the South, Southeast, or possibly maybe Lower California. How many cocoa fields have you seen in America? So how do they have a U.S. cocoa futures?
Yeah, how do they have a U.S. cocoa?
One of the biggest cocoa producers in Africa is actually Liberia. Did you know that?
Nope.
Liberia was the so-called free nation that spun off of American slaves when they left and fled, right?
Yes.
So America has a big vested interest in Liberia, not only for the commodities, but for the people that they let go to build it in the free world. Is one of the biggest cocoa producers on the planet is Liberia. See how that worked? Could make this stuff up. And they sent a lot of their coons over there to oversee it. So you got Black Americans over there that fled too, that are coons for America that's over there raping the resources too, and they ain't even getting fair value for it. Just to make sure they have a pipeline to distribute it through what? America what? Distributors. Hershey's chocolate. Oh, I'm sorry, they got cocoa fields right up there in Pennsylvania, right? They got cocoa trees up there in Pennsylvania? Hershey, Pennsylvania?
I've never seen one.
All right, some of y'all been up in them areas. I know I traveled up in them areas a lot of times. Up there in the Poconos, you got to go through that area to get to the Poconos, right? Or through that area. I've been up to Poconos several times. I ain't seen not one cocoa tree. Not one.
I seen fish.
That's it, right?
Yes, sir.
Right? They alluded to fish there. Somebody else probably. I don't know. In Minnesota, but I ain't seen that one cocoa tree up there. But yet they're the biggest one of the chocolate producers on the planet. Swiss chocolate. Are there cocoa trees in Switzerland? Or maybe in France, my bad. And they all in France and Switzerland, isn't it? Switzerland right now in their feelings and they mad because Ghana is starting to cut off that export of cocoa to what? Switzerland. They figured out finally in Ghana how to what? Refine their own cocoa to make their own chocolate. Switzerland hot right now. They're doing everything they power to try to keep that connection in place so they can get their little Swiss chocolate. Ain't that something? I ain't just making this up, guys. I'm not talking about my ear. I'm talking fact. Again, if you got a problem with history, I always tell anybody, if they got a problem with history, don't come, look at it, don't hate.
Isn't there a place in Africa where they where it's called Switzerland, Africa? Where they actually have it?
I wouldn't doubt it. That's a good Google moment, though. Definitely might want to pull that up.
Well, I was actually reading something not too long ago that was talking about Switzerland, Africa, and that's what came to my attention.
Even more crazy, ain't it? Because you think about, again, we talking about the biggest producers of chocolate on the planet, or refineries of it, right? Switzerland, the French, and definitely the American terms of what? You know, Hershey's, Mars, right? All these, right? The more well they founded, right? You know, chocolate companies, right? Again, where they getting their commodities from, and who in control of it. So if they cut America off from being the holding company for these American, these cocoa company producers in Ghana and Liberia and all in that area like that, how in the world would, you know, they would get fair value for their stuff, wouldn't they? They were able to they'll be able to charge the world full value for their stuff finally and get their fair value. Wouldn't that be something? What would happen to the economy overnight if that was to happen? Through the roof. Through the roof, bro. Sidebar. It's all making sense though, because y'all catching it now. Y'all tracking it. We connecting the dots. Even though we're doing sidebar conversation tonight, that's fine. We can deal with history in the same breath. We won't run away from history. And we're not going to sugarcoat it and water it down because people can't stand to deal with the truth when it comes to the history too, right? That's why you into this craft anyway too, right? To not feel like you got to what? Bow down and kowtow to people just because they can't deal with the reality because there may be a what? A financial, you know, burden or scenario mishap on your part because you may be challenging that situation. They may come at you sideways. That's the whole part about financial freedom. When you got money or you figure out ways to make your own money, on your own time, on your own dime, you don't have to water down your truth to make other people feel comfortable about their lives. That's power. Why do we say knowledge brings power? Power equals profit. A lot of people can't be themselves because they got to what? Go through all that foolishness. Knowing all this information, well, how powerful is you can what? Turn it into a profit. Is anything we talking about tonight in a position where you can't make money off of it? Is it just information or is it monetary information? We can make money off everything we talking about here tonight. Everything.
Literally.
This is power. And knowledge is, you're getting this to get in a position to learn how to utilize it. Again, where is that here? Let me go here real quick. Just to show real quick. We're not going to be on that much longer, because I gotta get off here. Go ahead, somebody.
That Switzerland, Africa was in Uganda. I went back into it. So basically, they called Uganda in that area in 1889. They called it the Switzerland of Africa. Of Africa.
Could make this stuff up. It's the same reason why they have a Lake Victoria in the cradle of Africa. So you know they say Ethiopia is the cradle of what, you know, civilization. But we know the real true cradle of Mother Africa is what? Down out, what? Central in the interior of Africa. So I'll move on. Aluminum. Clear as day. Clear as day. Right? Let's go to the daily chart. The weekly already looked like it's banging. Same thing.
I looked up. Did you see the dividends that they kicking out?
All right. It's probably good dividends.
So
I know
Reynolds is doing dividends tomorrow. It's they hiked it up. Yeah, they hiked it up to 95 cents.
Look at that. And we just talked about Reynolds too as one of those aluminum producers, excuse me. They're making so much profit because they got margin and pricing power, because they can raise the prices on their aluminum because they know you got to have it, you got to buy it to the tune so much. Now they can kick out of what? A bigger dividend to shareholders. See how that works? Fun fact, good information, Oprah, Sonny. Appreciate that. It all makes sense when you learn how to connect the dots. It puts you on a paper chase, or information chase, I should say, which leads to a paper chase. Couldn't make this stuff up. If aluminum is spiking right now for all those reasons that we talked about, here's how it's going down. We talking about December. How long ago was December, guys? I'm sorry, what, a couple months ago?
Mm-hmm.
So this ain't old data. It bottomed out around 44. It bottomed out around 44. And now it went up here and hit what? Dang near 80. In what, 2 months? December, January, and we just what, mid February? 2 months and a couple of days, right? A few days here and there. So that's almost 100% return. That's not by mistake. You can track this stuff. It's just learning how to track it, where to track it, based on all the stuff we talk about, where the fish biting at, basically, where them fish biting at. Right? Not hidden information. It's hidden to those who are not initiated because they feel like there's no use case for them to spend time looking at this information. For us, it is. Why? Because we can take this information and say, if aluminum price is up, who are all the aluminum companies? Right? Alcoa, again, we talking about Reynolds, right? He went to Reynolds, right? Went straight to Reynolds, right? We talked about Reynolds before, of course, just being publicly traded recently here. It went up here and hit a high of what? It was like what, $30 some odd dollars on this latest, ramp and breaking out. It basically went from, it's pulling back now. It went from what, 26 and went up and hit like what, 31. Actually, that's a lot for this company. This company don't make really big moves. But it just caught the boom at the selling off, as you see here sharply. It caught the boom of the what? Their recent, not the last earnings, but the one that preceded that one. That was their turning point, at least off this what? Pullback bounce. From 26 to 31, that's a lot for this company because it has a very low ATR, meaning average true range. So roughly, we're talking November basically, to January 11th. It's about 3 months. You basically went from 26 to 31, and then now I just pull back because it's part of the equity hold, equity pullback stuff. Right? They're doing more commercial aluminum. That's the difference. Well, I should say, commercial use aluminum. Let me say it the right way. That's the difference between them and Alcoa. Alcoa does what? Industrial-based aluminum. That's the difference. That means you the what? You the rapper, favorite rapper. You the plug. You're giving it to the what? The people that build the houses, the big, sky-rise buildings, the bridge workers. You supplying them people. You're not doing the little stuff that's sitting in the shelf at Walmart. That's the difference. Simple as that. So a lot of this stuff, again, you can track it once you understand it and you know what's going on. It's all relevant. Right? It's all relevant. Right. So CPI, let's get through this. I got about 10 minutes left here. I got to go. Not to be rushing, but I want to make sure we get this here. So some people understand the value of the CPI. You're learning it now in real time. If you're new to it, it's relevant, right? We're going to continuously build on this because we want people to become familiar with these different things. So at some point, when you round out your investment thesis, you get better at looking at different ways to make money through different values and things. It all makes sense. As long as you have the knowledge, that's all you need. That's all you need. Because at some point, you'll be able to use it. I guarantee you. Right? So let's go there real quick.
Hey there. You can now get your taxes done on Cash App. It's called Cash App Taxes. It includes an estimate of your
not today, ma'am.
The Consumer Price Index, or CPI, is considered the benchmark inflation guide for the U.S. economy. It uses a basket of goods approach that aims to compare a consistent base of products from year to year, focusing on products that are bought and used by consumers daily. The price of your milk, eggs, toothpaste, and haircut are all captured in the CPI. The CPI is calculated by taking price changes for each item in the preset basket of goods and averaging them, with the goods being weighted according to their importance. The index uses a base year for comparability of its calculations. so changes will often be provided on a percentage basis to reflect only changes to prior index levels. There are two CPI figures, the CPI for urban wage earners and clerical workers, the CPIW, and the CPI for all urban consumers, the CPI-U. The most watched metric is the CPI-U, which is often presented with a seasonal adjustment, as consumer patterns vary depending on the time of year. The CPI is a detailed release with breakouts for most major consumer groups and geographical regions. The CPI is also used to identify periods of inflation or deflation. Large rises in CPI during a short stretch typically signal periods of inflation, and large drops in CPI during a short period usually mark periods of deflation. As well, the CPI is used to make changes to cash flow mechanisms such as pensions, Medicare, and cost of living adjustments. This versatility means the CPI affects nearly every market and person in America.
And not just America, actually the entire world, because a lot of people markets are pegged to ours through investing through our markets and receiving even some of our export. Or the flip side of that, if we're receiving imports in that regard, it's all, relevant. It's all relevant. So the importance of it is very, very vital in that perspective, right? Its so-called brother or sister is the producer price index, right? The producer price.
Hey there, you can now get your taxes done on Cash App.
All right, hold up, Ling Ling.
It includes an estimate.
No disrespect to her, but cutting it.
The Producer Price Index, or PPI, measures the average change in the prices that domestic producers receive for the output they sell. The Bureau of Labor Statistics releases the PPI each month. It reveals trends in wholesale markets, manufacturing industries, and commodities markets. The PPI tracks headline index figures for the crude, intermediate, and finished good levels of production. The crude level reflects the average price change from the previous month for commodities such as coal and oil. At the intermediate level, goods have been manufactured to some extent and then sold to other manufacturers to create a finished good. Examples include lumber and steel. Finished goods are in the final stage of manufacturing. This is the core PPI, and it excludes volatile items such as energy and food.
This is the main gauge that the Federal Reserve tracks. They study more core PPI, the baseline PPI. And as you see right here, this is what they leave out: food and what? Energy. Some of the two biggest costs ever. So that tells you right there that they're doing what? Cooking the data. The very next that they don't want to honor the fact that you're paying more at the pump and at the grocery store is them skewing the information or the data to reflect that of what? A more mild reality. And you're couldn't make this stuff up. All right, move on. I gotta go.
Its prices are the closest to those paid by end consumers. The Consumer Price Index reveals those prices. Costs retailers incur are usually passed on to consumers. So investors use the PPI to predict the CPI and changes in inflation.
I'm sorry, what did she just say?
CPI and PPI to predict the consumers. So investors use the PPI to predict the CPI and changes in inflation.
It's all right in front of you. Some people's like, oh, yeah, I just never, I don't see the need. Now we see the need. Now we're starting to see the need, excuse me. So we come to sites like what? The BLS, right? Bureau of Labor Statistics. We're tracking this data. As you see, Consumer Price Index, here we go. Home publication, CPI data methods. About CPI, you get all this information, $3.99. It's a measure of average change of time and prices paid by urban consumers, market basket, consumer goods, and services indexes are available in the U.S. Various geographic scheme areas average price data for select utility, automotive, fuel, and food items are also available. Look at here. This is a 12-month perspective based by the little small chart. Energy through the roof, food high, all items together high. Items less food and energy, they even up. Even they try to exclude the food, it's still up. Look here. In January, the consumer price index, all urban consumer rose what? 0.6%. Seasonal adjusted rose what? 7.5% over the last 12 months. 0.6 readout over the past, last, readout in itself. That's a lot. The index for all items, less food and energy increased by what? 0.6% in January. Up 6% over the entire year. Crazy numbers. This is free information. There's a PDF version. Bureau of Labor Statistics, free information. I don't have a subscription to these people. This is not, information that, that's hidden. Unless you don't know what you're looking for, of course, or not looking for it. But it's free public information. Look how it's been rising. Look at that. January of last year to January, look at it. Does that look like it's peaking? Does it look like it's getting ready to kind of roll over and what had that rounded top to come back down? I'm asking for a friend. Do that look like peak inflation to y'all? Some would say right here, see, that was peak inflation right there. Then it rolled over there. And then what happened? It skyrocketed and went higher. We're tracking it because we're watching oil, lumber, feeder hogs, lean hogs, corn, cocoa, fuel, lumber, steel, aluminum, palladium, gold, silk. We're watching all that stuff. We go right over to the commodity market and see them prices going up too. They can't lie to you when you know how to what? Go find out the real information, primary sources. I wasn't, tripping about the numbers coming in hot. I was up looking at all them figures. And I said, oh, okay, I'm finna buy puts into the data tomorrow. And I did. I surely did. I bought 2 down, 2 down and 1 up. And then I bought some intraday. I had 2 down, 1 up for protection, hedge. I had the 461s and the other ones I had the 454s. Both the 454 printed over what? $700. Well, one of them was like 6 and change, the other one was like 700 plus. Then I turned around and bought the 451s when we peaked around 457, 54. When we did that 100% retracement, I bought what? 2 of the 451s for the, basic for Friday, but I was planning for an intraday scalp. It rolled over, came down. Y'all see what the market did on the back end of the day. It ended up in like 447. I'm engaging the market as it's set up. Not guessing, I'm using educated information. You see all the numbers here. This is the PDF. You come through all this here and get all this data here yourself. Free information. You seeing how it changed what? Quarter, from basically month over month, and seeing how the numbers then what? Gradually went up. Some of them went down, and then some of them starting to go back up. And you could track this and see exactly whether or not if it's peaking or not. In December, food costs, basically you see in this case, it's saying that it went down by what? 0.3%. And then turn around and shot right back up to 0.9%, overshadowing the 0.8% that they had in November. So again, how is it peaking? This doesn't take rocket science to read that. Some of these things you can see it kind of fluctuating, but guess what? In the bigger picture scheme of things, you see it all in the aggregate values that there's some problems here. Because certain items are being charged, they're getting more, they're being taxed more essentially. Like energy, electricity, many other things, but there's ancillary items within that. Even though they might not say energy as a whole, but there's other smaller things, byproducts of energy that's being put into the bigger numbers too. And that's before you even get utility, because utilities are put in there. Gas service, piped gas services. And many other scenarios like that. Look at vehicles and stuff like that, commodity, metals and all that stuff, used cars, apparel, medical care commodities, shelter, transportation service, all this stuff. It's crazy, right? Again, food, I mean, we ain't gonna go through every last one with them, but y'all said this is free information. Come on the Bureau of Labor Statistics, you can get this information. Matter of fact, just put in CPI inflation, and you might see the Bureau of Labor Statistics tab, hit that tab. You come track all the matter of fact, let me throw this right here in I'm gonna throw it on the tube, and I'm also throw it back in the group. So that way people can have, of course, y'all, track this stuff now. You ain't new to it, but it's good that we talk about this stuff because people need to figure out how this stuff works. We finna be, every bit of just as knowledgeable in this as we were following our favorite football team, our favorite basketball team. The teams that we used to claim and say, this is my team, and not getting one royalty from it. Well, you finna get a royalty from this information by what? Your stocks. True story. Get excited, right? All this data right here for free. Free. This is the publication that came out after the last CPI readout. The PPI is coming next. Now, do you think the PPI data gonna come out less than the CPI? I'm asking for a friend. Because if the PPI is used to what? To track the CPI, if the CPI came in hot, what do you think the PPI gonna come in at? Cold? Lukewarm? Right? Whatever they lukewarm. Tap water warm? What? You think it'll come in with light? I'm just asking for a friend. And then you can also come basic by what? We know what's going on in the bond market. Bond market is also an extension of that inflation as well, is it not? Come to the what? St. Louis what? St. Louis Fed, we call it the Fred, right? Economic data. This is what tracks everything in America, dealing with labor and stuff, consumer costs, producer price, commodities industry, all this stuff is tracked, well, many other things too, of course, is tracked through the Fred. Mortgage stuff like that, the Fred tracks all that data. We went over this stuff before time and time again, but we're gonna keep going over because some of the family knew. You come to the Fred to check this stuff. These are primary sources. Even though the data could be cooked, but we know these are primary sources to get this information. 10-year break-even inflation, they just had an auction today. 10-year what? Ripping. Look where it came from, just dealing out the pullback that happened back during the COVID low. Right? We've since, rebounded, and now we were back to ripping, especially of late because of what? Inflation. All this data right here is free 99, free. I have no special membership to come look this stuff up. It's actually showing the real value of the 10-year break-even inflation rate is sitting at 2.45. The trading value of it is sitting at around about what? 2.04, somewhere around there, give or take. I don't know what it is at the second. But it's not even the complete, treasury yield of the 10-year. This is the break-even one. 2.45. Same way when we look at the futures, right? ES futures, as opposed to the regular spider index, that's the difference into how looking at the 10-year break-even. 10-year break-even, excuse me. Free 99. This information. You see it's ramping back up. There's your CPI, urban consumers, all items, food, energy. That's just another readout looking at it. We went to the Bureau of Labor Statistics and found it, and we came to the Fred and found it. This looks very horrific, doesn't it? It looks horrific, doesn't it? CPI price for all urban consumer items, food and energy, and the U.S. sitting average. Looks scary, don't it? This is us and what? This is the long version of it. Going way back in the 50s. Let me show you what it looked like, in our little window. Y'all see this here? Go ahead. Somebody say something, sorry.
What? I'm sorry. What site is that?
It's called the Fred, the Federal St. Louis website. See right here? Fred. right? Or just put it in Fred, or you put it in St. Louis Fed. That's the easy way to do it. I'm sorry. Put it in St. Louis Fed. And this thing has a lot of information. We pull from this, we've been pulling from this from years, pulling out information and data from this from years. Primary sources, primary, not speculative, primary. Look here, going back to 2021, we'll use the 1 year benchmark. Look what the Fed looked like in that 1 year. Hold up, it moved it back some. Hold up, it went too far. Okay, where we at? 2019. Hold up. Why is this thing not tracking it right? I might be just squeezing on it right. Excuse me, on the wrong. Oh, I see. It's doing it by the. Okay, that's fine. We'll do it from here. 2021, essentially. 270. Now you send up here at what? 286. That's a lot. That's a lot on the CPI. I mean, you see, I just kind of ramp, it hit that little pivot point, and ramp look like some of y'all stocks right now, right? Especially if it's going up. That thing hit a pivot and what, rocketed higher. Wall Street saying, "Oh, we peaking, bro. We peaking. We at peak inflation right now." They said that right here. We at peak inflation. It's transitory, bro. And what happened? It ramped and went higher. It's peaking here, bro. It's peaking. It's peaking. In June 20 last year, they were saying inflation was peaking around the summer of last year. It's peaking, bro. It's transitory. We all right. See, it is transitory, and it ramped and went higher. September. Oh, it got to be peaking now, bro. It's peaking. Ramped and went really higher. Wall Street can't take no L's, guys. They weak. They weak. But y'all built for this. Because we come from, y'all know the deal. I mean, all this data right here is free. You can come to us. These are the latest numbers. These just came out over the last 2 days or, just today. You can track all this stuff. Go to the actual website. See right here? All these tabs here. Interest rates, federal fund rate, right? That's important. That's very important right now because this is what's pricing in what? It's pricing in what? Potential what? Rate hikes, right? See right here? Look at the yields. In that perspective, fund rates. Fund rates are dipping, right? That means you're having what? A flattening what? It's flattening out that value of the fund rate. These people, they've been on a, man, look, a paper printing spree, right? It ain't even funny any longer now. I mean, it's just acting like this is normal. See right here? Soon they start what? Cutting rates. And came to what? All the problems fall to CPI, dealing with right now, fall to inflation. I mean, this is another way of looking at the money in terms of how it's been being diluted. They're diluting your purchasing power with your money. You can't keep interest rates at zero forever and act as if that's normal. And you had a staycation in terms of people not being able to go to work. So yeah, and you're not producing goods and services, and you got interest rates this low, you finna have a problem. This is the recipe for disaster falls what? CPI, PPI data we're talking about now, inflation, this is what causes it. Overstaying your power. This is a staggering drop, way up here to way down here. 2.3%, all this stuff right there. Now you down here at 0.9, 0.1, 0.8, 0.7, right? 0.10. Basically, all that stuff near a quarter basis point. They ain't there. Come make this stuff up. It's ridiculous. Right? Again, all this stuff you can come track. I'm not gonna be, y'all get it. Free information. There's your M2 money supply readout right here. Some of you guys may be familiar with this, not for me. You might want to read into it. Understand the velocity of the money. This is free information. And it's gonna school you on exactly what it is. The real and the velocity, all this stuff right here. M2 money, you see it right here. Look at it. Y'all see that right there? What does that mean when y'all see that right there? I'm just asking for a friend. That means somebody got the printer running.
We take too much money supply.
That means Jerome Powell got that printing cranking right now. If they printing more money, or there's more money in circulation in that regard, what does that do to your purchasing power? Does that mean you got more money? Does that mean you got more purchasing power? Or does it dilute your money power, your money, your potency of your money worth?
Yeah, they flooding our money out. Yeah, they dilute it.
Straight dilution. You got a tablespoon of coffee, and you got a quarter water. Ain't no coffee. Ain't no caffeine in that. Ain't no coffee. You ain't got no caffeine in that cup. But ain't no caffeine in that cup. Stop playing with me. This is how they get you. Right here in plain sight. This is how you can track inflation. We ain't making this stuff up. I'm showing you all the things how you can track inflation and know what's going on. And these people are being paid to do this. These people got Ivy League degrees. And they are sitting there telling you that they're what? Following the data, which their data is lagging, and they can't figure out why these numbers are going higher. Are y'all kidding me? So you got us over here, little old us, right? We're special, of course, but I got to say that in the grand scheme of all these so-called smart people that they hiring to lie to y'all, because that's what they're there for. They be the front people to lie, the shields. We're checking this information, figuring this stuff out in real time. This is how I'm able to buy puts and have conviction. Is it making sense now? I'm willing to put on that risk because I'm seeing this here. I'm seeing all that CPI inflation every day, the commodity prices. I'm seeing that stuff skyrocket. Is it making sense now, guys? I'm making financial decisions based upon proper research methodology. This is conviction information. Right? You putting together a trial, right? You're taking America to trial for CPI or inflation. This is me gathering evidence. Is this hearsay information, guys? Or is this primary source information?
Primary source.
So that means there's no second guessing. This is how we tracking it. This is how come we know. We just making the case. LIBOR, we had the LIBOR numbers, right? All that stuff like that. GDP was a 6% last readout, right? Now y'all know doggone well that. All right. Y'all think we have another 6% readout? 6% greater next readout, the next one? I doubt it. This is the overall value of course. You can do the dissection, dissecting it, of course, from one point to the next, whatever. But y'all know, man, this stuff, bro. Yeah, that GDP might be peaking. That's the only thing that's peaking. Yeah, that's what's peaking. But you still got that market hold jacked up because of inflation, labor shortages and this, that, and the third. And the inflation itself shows you that because, again, that's another formula of what? Stagflation, right? Low wage increase, less production, high inflation, stagflation. You caught. Right? Anyway, y'all get it. But so, yeah, this is how we check the M1. We went through some of this stuff. We'll come through it another time. I don't want to be on too much longer. But these are the sites. These are primary sites I'm going through. So that way you can see exactly what I'm talking about tonight when we're saying tracking what? CPI, right? What is the title of the discussion tonight? Tracking market value. Tonight's training session is called Tracking Market Value, CPI data. Of course, we can mix in the PPI too, but today we released CPI data. It's very important, right? It's a very piece of important fundamental news that the world was watching. The market definitely was watching, and we saw what happened when that number came out bigger than usual. The market did what? It dumped. Then tried to save face and rally back, right? These greedy people. And then sold off and went lower. Dead cat bounce. If you played it right, you got paid. 3 ways. On the way down, back up. I didn't get a chance to even play it on the way back up on the bounce. True story. I know him would have played on the way up too and bought the call and then sold them and bought more puts at that point and wrote it right down. That's how crazy it is, ain't it? Couldn't make this stuff up. Right? Brother Ramsey, man, we in training session, man. You know, he on YouTube over there. Going in, boy. Brother Ramsey, not come on now. Look, a lot of this stuff is for training purpose. We need people. I know you going in over there because you hearing that information, but I just getting heated over there. This is training. This is training session night. When we do the training session, we got to keep the chat open strictly for this information only, right? Strictly for this here. Right? Just heads up, right? Because I don't want to, delete those messages, but this training because I got young people watching this tonight. I'm trying to get them educated, bro. We finna, as the saying goes, we got to build these babies. Let's keep them on track. A lot of this stuff is for training purpose. We need people. Somebody mic over there. But yeah, but that's it. This is how you track it. This is all the stuff right here. We're not, making up stuff. We're not, acting like, again, this stuff is outside. Look at it. There's another 1.6 trillion for tomorrow. See, this is when they on their last leg. This was keeping the market propped up. Another 1.6 trillion for the reverse repo operation auction that happened. And with a 10-year auction today, these people can't take an L, boy. They still they still printing money and still talking about fighting inflation. They still recirculate, buying the same bonds and trying to tackle inflation. These people don't quit. These boomers, these over the hill, greedy, lagging data, so-called incompetent people that call themselves competent, got degrees and all this information. We sat there and dissected this stuff on our own just from our little computers and these websites, using their stuff, and they can't figure out what's the problem. Are y'all kidding me? Like, could not make this stuff up. This is the data that they're supposedly supposed to be using, because we know the Feds track inflation. They're using what? The core, right? They use the core PPI or core CPI, right? Basically, the core PPI, because we're talking about producers, right? The producers are the ones who are really dictating the value of what these raw cost of goods, services costing. Why? Because they're dealing with strictly, when the lumber comes from the mill, it's going strictly to that producer or that manufacturer before it hits Home Depot, Lowe's, where Ace Hardware, whoever you shop from, to buy wood for the houses that you're going to buy. Your house is now more expensive because that cost has been passed on from the what? The milling plant that cut the lumber, the manufacturer who treated the lumber, cut it, treated it and all this stuff, and then it sits at Home Depot. Now they got to put their tax on top of it. And in the inflationary environment, it goes up a lot higher. And then when you go to build your house, you got to factor in how much, square feet or whatever you need to build your home with. That's the price of inflation, kicking houses up through the roof right now. That's just the cost of the material. Oh, if interest rates are starting to go back up too, okay, yeah, about that. If you financing, definitely. If you buying cash, yeah, you can work some deals. But if you financing, yeah, okay. But utilize it now because that's going to change. Even though it's a quarter basis point or half a basis point, eventually, we're going to be right back up them saying who we're saying before at 3+%, 4% for some people, depending on their credit. If you got some paper now, you might be fine. You try to get you in the game now, right? Lock in you some lower interest rates, is my point. If you're in the purchase of your car, even though the price of these vehicles are up, at some point they'll come down, but the interest rate is going to get you on the back end. See how that works? It's like you got to find those sweet spots. At some point, of course, that's going to peak and it's going to come down on the metal side of that, what's causing that inflation. But at that point, the interest rates are going to kind of start going back up. Right. So the interest on that, it's ugly when you think about it, right? It's diabolical, but that's how the system works. You gotta know how to track this stuff. That's $1.6 trillion, guys. $1.6 trillion. And they talking about fighting inflation. That's what's propping the stock market right there. That's a constant value of that's happening on what? Over and over and over and over, right? It's happening over and over and over and over. Almost every day now. Look at the federal balance. This is their balance sheet, guys. This is what This is what Wall Street is excited about. This is why Wall Street keep buying the dip. See this right here, the domestic holdings? That's the Fed's Federal Reserve domestic holdings. Their domestic holdings alone is more than, let's say, let me see. It's some country, it's a lot of countries out there. I'm not speculating there, but we're talking about $8 trillion, right? An $8 trillion economy. That's more than majority of all the South American countries to dang near combined, dang near, despite them having the most, the commodities, the more richest minerals in the ground, but they're not getting fair value for, of course, certain parts of Africa, even certain parts of Europe. We got all that sitting on our balance sheet in printed money. In America, we got that sitting on the balance sheets, bro. 8 trillion. 8 trillion. Roughly 9, but it's not really accounting all the other, aspects to that they hold out in terms of their holding, that they don't add in there like they do like a food or energy exemplary cost when it comes to the CPI. They dare not put that in there because the number will be exactly exorbitant, not higher. Here it is. You have it here. Reflected, in the same breath where they're not even giving you the full readout here. It's still missing, $600 some odd billion. That stuff is being circulated, of course, but, actually in the holdings, it's still, roughly near about 8.5 trillion. Which is also, all right, we went over the national debt stuff. We ain't got to bring that back up. But, I mean, you guys get it, so just the importance of it. What's going on, Sister Fool in the building? I see you came in the house. Peace, power, and profit to you, Ilba. I know it's late. We in here doing what we do best, of course. Happy to have you in the building this evening. So this is that track, how you track this information, guys. You don't have to guess. You don't have to be speculating. You don't have to deal with people trying to tell you it's this when it's not. You go to the primary source, you pull it up, you reflect it, you see what's going on. You know how to deal with things. Right? You know how to deal with things. Right? You know how to track the value within the money supply, M1, M2, you know how to track the value of the treasury bonds, mortgage-backed securities, you know how to track all this stuff once you know where to look. Now, all the different, things like this, you're like, what's this? What is the SOFR averages? You're learning all this stuff in real time. Because now you know how to look it up. And everything we talked about is the value of how you can apply this stuff or the importance of it. Right? There's your federal fund rate right there. Still sitting down here at 0.08% as of the 9th. Their target is been between 0.00, basically at 0 interest, 0 interest rate to a quarter basis point. It's been volleying in between that for quite a while. You're sitting there at 0.08. That's what the Feds get. Imagine we can get that, right? That's for the banks, add their tax onto that. And they keep buying the bonds to do that, to keep it down for the reason. So the money is cheaper for banks and other businesses to borrow it so they can go out there and buy back stocks. All right, y'all get it. I don't want to get on my soapbox again. It's too late. We already did all that tonight. So that's why the CPI data in itself is very important. Now, economic calendars, how you can keep up with this stuff in real time. Guess what? Free website here again. Come right over to investing.com. See right here where it says tools. You come to the tools tab, right? Hit economic calendar. Economic calendar takes you straight to to everything that's happening literally on the planet of importance, right? Because these are monetary events or people who control money, of course. Right? So these were the companies that produced today, right? You got South Africa on here because they're South Africa, Great Britain, Europe, right? Certain parts of Germany, all this stuff, right? Even the individual Russia, a lot of people had different points of data points they put out tonight. Or yesterday, I should say, because this is, it stands today, but it's basically everything that happened today. China, Europe, right? Again, Brazil, there's Brazil, right? Service sector growth numbers, they put out their numbers today, right? In terms of their service sector growth, there's our CPI, right? There's our CPS, CPI, year to year, month over month, the entire index itself, the January readout in itself, of course, just, they breaking it down, verbatim values of certain things. Indexes hold jobless claim for the 4-week revision. That's basically what that is. That's jobless claim 4-week average revision. So these are just the revisions. Initial jobless claims value in itself. In that regard, of course, we got that data today too. Didn't seem like because everybody was focused on the what? On the CPI, that we even didn't talk about the jobless claim tonight. Ain't that something? Right? Estimate came in at 239. They came in at 223. So they actually beat there, right? The jobs claim, right? What was the forecast? No, the forecast was, 230. Yeah, so we beat. But we know that's bad news for the stock markets. Every time we beat on jobs numbers, that's bad news for the Federal Reserve. Why? Because that eliminates their excuse to keep printing all this money. That means the labor force is getting stronger. We know there's layers to that, right? There's context to that because these are leisure hospitality jobs that are being filled. These jobs are very temporary in value based upon how these organizations are feeling at that time. They can easily fire these people, lay them off, and feel like they can cut back, right? So leisure hospitality is not really a measure of American economy. But again, they're looking for a win anywhere they can get it in terms of the Joe Biden administration. Whatever, right? Natty gas reserve numbers came out today. Cleveland CPI, even they got separate, several sector values of the CPI. They read out. I mean, many of them, as you can see, this economic data. This is real time stuff. I mean, of all based on some of the most reported nations around the world. You're seeing it in real time, right? You're seeing all this stuff in real time. Look at the electronic card retail sale. They're dropping all kind of knowledge in here. Real time information, of course. Real time. Right. So tomorrow, what do we have on the docket for tomorrow? Right. All this stuff is happening today. Great business is 2 a.m. in the morning. This is kind of within that London time. Right. They got data coming out tomorrow. Business investment. They got construction output. So that's still going to be important because they're talking about what? Inflation. Inflation is at all-time high in Europe right now too. Y'all been seeing it. That's why they're raising rates over there. They're already into 2 rate hikes in their into their fiscal calendar. We haven't even did one yet. We haven't done the first lift off. These people already got 2 rate hikes already in the books. Wall Street is going down, swinging. These people do not want to let that free money go. It's crazy, right? GDP, that's a big number tomorrow from Great Britain. GDP numbers. That's going to be interesting. That might move their markets, right? 2 a.m. If those numbers come in bad, guess what? Our future market, if we're down a little bit, we're going to go down a lot more. Let that number come in bad for Great Britain. That British pound, okay, play with it. We going downtown. Germany got CPI tomorrow, right? China, look, that's China. Not China, that's Switzerland, right? I think it's Swiss, yeah, with the cross on it. They got CPI. Could make this stuff up. A lot of these things could really move the markets on that European side that may affect our markets adversely. Right? Here we go. 10 o'clock for us tomorrow. We got what? Fed monetary policy report. That's going to be important. Michigan 5-year inflation expectation. This is important too because this is also the back end of the CPI and the PPI. They track this Michigan. This is part of their what they said. You only got one job and one job. Don't mess it up. Don't muck it up. This is what the Michigan do when they track that 5-year inflationary expectation in terms of just trying to gauge what inflation will look like over time and tracking it, per data readout over the next. Consumer expectation, all that stuff is important. Some people like, man, I ain't never thought, look at that. It carries some values away. It's expectation. Wall Street will run it, rally if it's, they'll find anything. Baker Hughes oil rig count, that's important, right? In terms of American oil, that is. Copper speculation, aluminum, aluminum speculative net positions, right? Aluminum already breaking out to the upside now. Gold, inflection, point. It's in the consolidation chamber. We'll see, right? A lot of these things are just, down the back end and, back in what they call stationary, or not stationary, but statutory type of readouts, right? They're not as dynamic as some of the stuff that we talked about, but they do carry weight. They make up that speculative value of what's going on too. Because these are individual readouts. See, aluminum, copper, corn, crude oil, gold, right? Natty gas. These are stuff we just looked at for the commodity market. Soybeans, silver, wheat, right? That's some of the stuff we talk about. Their own individual layer report card or quarterly report, so to speak, right? So yeah, so that's just for tomorrow. So I mean, nothing groundbreaking where we say that we had an 8:30 type of data readout. We don't have that tomorrow. So Wall Street, at least to get a chance to sleep in tomorrow morning at 8:30, right? slightly, but they still got to deal with the European market dropping these heavy bombs, right? Stuff like that. There's CPIs on GDP numbers and all that stuff. Right? I don't know where it's at now. Where we at in terms of the futures right now? I'm pretty sure it's looking probably, I don't know. We'll see real quick before we get to log off here. All right, let's see here. Hold on. Yeah, we got you. Hold on. Let me get through this and we'll really do a quick little question. I got to get off here because I already overstayed. Yeah, so yeah, there we go. We're still weak. We're still weak right here. Futures looking at, 1/3 on the Dow. Of course, SPY's at, 18, still about 0.4%. So we was pretty much throughout the whole night, down about 0.4%. Excuse me, 0.41%, excuse me, 0.41%. It's almost a half a basis point, or half a percentage point, excuse me. And the VIX is up, of course. The German DAX, well, we're talking about the German DAX, right? Or the DAX is down clearly. And they got data coming out within their region. I think we just saw the FTSE 100. Of course, we're talking about Great Britain, right? There we go. The FTSE, United Kingdom. They getting hit across the head tonight, right? Y'all not a continent. Shots fired. Y'all not a continent. That's why y'all down tonight. We figured y'all out. Now, let me stop. Let me leave that. Leave them alone. Right? Leave them alone. Look at the Nikkei. Look at the Nikkei, guys. It's down 1.64%. Getting crushed tonight. 457 basis points. Getting crushed. Couldn't make this stuff up. That's dragging down our market too, because they're very, very highly pegged to our markets, meaning the Japanese market. Obviously, you asked that question, Sister Sneak, and now you see why. They do a lot of manufacturing stuff, cost of cars and all that. They don't have a big agriculture market. They have a very fine line economy based on certain things that they can produce. So their market is very, well, that's a whole nother conversation itself. Japanification, we did a video on that. I'm gonna pull it up so y'all when we went in on that already, right? How they printed themselves into the, what they're dealing with now, right? They stuck at basically zero interest rate, laying there forever till they really fix their economy. And that ain't a good thing, because that means they're only dependent upon how fast they can produce goods. If they ever stop producing, something happened to slow the economy down, they in trouble. They are in major trouble because no one really is, producing a whole lot of savings. That's what the interest rate value reflects. It reflects that when you have a higher interest rate, that means more people, or in this case, there's a value now is attached to them having, at least exchangeable assets. If it's that rate, they don't really have no store value. They have to keep producing stuff to maintain. They keep it at all right. I'll leave that alone. Anyway, Q&A real quick and we get ready to get out of here, guys. Thank y'all for being patient tonight. Again, tonight's topic, we went in on that information for a reason, tracking the market value. This is how we track the market value. Is that making sense to you guys now? Is it making sense how this stuff is important now? When before you might have been like, man, I don't see the importance of that. Yeah, it's important, right? It's very important. It's make no mistake about it. Now you guys definitely know how important it is, right? Month over month, these numbers here are not by mistake. This is how we was able to figure out what inflation was going to be. Bigger than that, the numbers that they said it was going to be. So I made investment decisions based upon this information, and that's how I'll give you the profit today. No harm, no foul. This is what we do. That's like it was like $2,300, $2,300 on the day. Thank you, CPI data, right? That's not wishing bad luck on everybody, that's at the grocery store and the gas pump, but I'm just playing the rule. That's what we do as investors or in traders. In that same regard, we're just reading the data and we're making executive decision with our money based upon that. Of course, one has the risk, profile in play, mitigation value in play. Your reward, hey, it's up for play. All right, so Q&A real quick so we get out of here, guys. Any questions before we get out of here?
Right. I just wanted to ask on real-time commodity future prices under technical, it says the commodities go right hourly, strong sell, daily, strong buy. They're talking about options and like that you can put it up and down.
Not just options. It's not just to pick the option. Just showing you what certain levels. I don't want you to get caught thinking, just options thing, everything. I know you just want to get the options, but you do want to learn the options. It's not everything is pegged to an option. It's tied to it's tied to the peg of their the technical value, and some of it is fundamental too, because a lot of these things are what? Again, some things are just overbought because we know that what commodity prices are going through the roof. But I'm happy you asked that question, Sister Shanika. Why? Right? I'm going to give you a good little, negative information, sis. If you see it, because you see this here, right? Because you already looked at it, because you probably going through stuff. If you see more strong buys, right, than strong sales up and down this chart, you know what that means? That means people are doing a risk on in a lot of these commodities. That means they have what? Bullish sentiment towards these commodities. That means people are still potentially what? Buying them. Does that make sense? So that means it's not a risk off. That means the price of these commodities are not necessarily going to come down if everybody's still bullish on them. Does that make sense? You see how that works? So if palladium was already trading at this spot price and people have strong buys for it still, that means they still buying. They're going to take the price up higher. That means on the flip side to that, that means the commodity prices as a whole within the CPI and the PPI is also still going up what? Up too, because these prices are still going up. It's really that what? That turnkey. Another way you can track it in that same regard. So happy you asked that question. And it's just either way that you trade it. Again, you can trade it, they got, you can say through the futures, it's kind of like options, right? In a sense, because you're buying the, basically the futures of it, which is a form of a contract, right? But, just kind of being, I guess a stickler for being verbatim, right? The understanding what it really means, it's a contract, more so just saying it just, okay, this is just option, like we normally are thinking about it. It's just you buying the contracts for these. So all that right there is just another sign of signal of why PPI is high and the CPI data is high. All right, so really great question, sis. Really great question. All right, anybody else? Q&A before we get ready to get out of here, guys. Any other questions, guys? Anything? Piqued your fancy what we talked about tonight, the extent of the information. Of course, we already got the chart. I sent y'all the chart, of some of the stuff that, it's easy to read stuff. But the matter of fact, let's pull it real quick. We did it earlier on the live stream, of course, it ain't no secret. But we put out that chart earlier, right? This chart here. Those are some of the same things that we're talking about here. And mixed values here and there. But the month-over-month scenario increases. Another form of understanding why inflation was, just crazy. It's crazy, right? I mean, lumber's over $1,200, right? Over $1,200. See, right, this is a USD per 1,000 board feet. $1,200. Okay, build your house with a lot of lumber, right? You finna pay. Look, I'm finna build my house with some pecan shells or something. I don't know, some walnut shells or something, bro. I can't look. I can't pay for that wood right now, bro. It's too expensive. That wood expensive.
Guy told me a panel for like on the roof, each panel is going for like $50 now. I don't know what it was a month, a year ago, but it's like $50 now. Even like say you want to get your roof, let's say the decking of your roof. Each panel like 50. Well, he charged me say $50. When I went to Home Depot, that's about right, $50 for each decking panel. So imagine having to get however many decks on your roof, man. Each panel on your roof at $50 a pop. I mean, that's a nice little additive, I guess you would say. Now I see that Home Depot, yeah, it went up, man.
See, that's why I say y'all seeing this stuff as consumers. That's why I tell people can't convince you that they can't learn this and they buying these items every day. Or at some point, they buying, I don't say every day, meaning somebody buying something every day. Somebody buying something, is my point. But you're buying these things and you're seeing it at the cost. Or if you recognizing probably the cost, especially if you buy these items more than average. But you can tell there's some increases.
Yeah.
They're passing that cost off to the consumers. And a lot of these earnings reports that we've been listening to lately, they're starting to tell you, guess what? Oh, we finally have to pass the cost off to the consumer because we can't keep footing the bill and eating these costs. It's hurting our revenues. We just talked about that with Mondelez, right? What the Mondelez sell? All this stuff that y'all like to eat at this hour of the night. Your Ritz crackers and Oreo cookies. all the cookies. They ate up all the cookies. They ate up all the cookies, right? Oreo cookie Mondelez. They said in this next coming, quarter, they finna pass that cost off to consumer. So packs of Oreo cookies finna go up. Ritz crackers finna go up. Keebler with the little Oreo cookies that y'all be eating at 12 o'clock at night, they finna go up. You have to start baking your own. You're gonna be in the kitchen, man. You want to make these cookies the other day? I can't cut no corner. Yeah, you be mad, but you gotta make your own cookies now. Don't pay that cost. Can't even escape it because milk is up, eggs is up, right? The sugar's up. You can't even escape it, bro. You just might as well go and buy the package. You get the pack, get the pack. Call it a day. It's sad, guys. It's palm oil, even the palm oil. Look at the palm oil that the oil that you put in there. It's tragic out there. I mean, but hey, when you know better, you do better. So we're tracking this stuff for that reason. So that's why this stuff is important, guys. It's important. So again, the Fed, just going over one more time on the way out the door. Fred, come to the Fed, right? St. Louis Fed or the Fed, they call it the Fed. There's your information right here. Right? Inflation, you check over here. CPI, you track it right here. If you want to know what the M1 money supply is, come here. M2 money supply, check it here. The velocity of it, all that stuff, check it there. The VIX, that's the volatility value. You can check that too. Interest rate, you can check that. Funds, federal fund rates, you can check all that stuff. Right? Labor value, right? The whole nine. GDP, you check all this stuff right here in real time, guys. Primary sources, primary. BLS, we already know what this site about. U.S. Bureau of Labor Statistics, right? Where the cooks hang at that, right? Where them cooks hang at that. They cook that data when necessary, and other times they leave it alone. Right there it is, right there. CP5 7.5 readout that happens. That eat the markets on the back end of the day, of course, right? And the first part of it, but whatever. This is how you track it, and then everything that you want to learn about it, right? Come to our great and favorable website, Investopedia. That's the treasure trove of everything financial, and then some. So this thing, everything you want to learn about finance, everything, Investopedia got you. Trust me. They got free classes on here, tutorials. They got paper trading feature here. You can paper trade through here as well. All this stuff is 100% free. 100% free 99. Wealth of information and knowledge right here. Wealth of it. Right? Wealth of it. So there's just some site. And then the last one here, of course, is the what? If you want to track the reverse repo operation, the New York Fed, right? The big boys in town, all the crooks. Right? All that crook information here. That's your $1.6 trillion right there. 1.6 trillion. Fed rates, all this stuff like that, mortgage-backed securities, this, that, and the third, whatever. All this stuff right here. You can go deeper in, just by going through some of the tabs, economic research, the financial, all this stuff like that about the free, whatever, y'all get it. But yeah, primary information. All right, so that's it, guys. Any other questions before we get out of here? All right. Any other questions before we get out of here? Any other question? Anybody, everybody, scream. Anybody? Y'all went in today, boy. We had a long live early. We still getting it, boy. Tell me we ain't resilient. We cooking our brain cells overtime the right way. I'd rather cook my brain cells on this information than, all right, I'll leave that alone. Right, hold up, brother. Move on, brother. Any other questions, guys, before we get out of here? Any other questions? We're here for you guys. Any other questions, everybody? So you good, Sister Shanika? Boy, we finally got Shanika whoop finally for a change. But that sugar got some information, boy. She using it now. She ain't got it to me. We got her. Boy, we got her tonight, boy. Left, right. She ain't got no questions. That means we did good tonight, boy. Look, I'm pat myself on the back tonight, boy. I rarely do that. I'm gonna pat myself on the back tonight, boy. I got Sister Shanika speechless. Oh, we winning. Winning. No, I know she's sucking the stuff up though. Seriously, I know she's serious about this, and I respect that. I love that too. All right, so kudos to her. All right, kudos to you, sis. Any other questions, guys, before we get out of here? Anything? And now, Sister Afua came in late. Definitely again happy to have her in the building. Right. So of course, if you need anything, we got you. We got you, sis. If you have any questions to this, don't hesitate to hit me up. At any faction, I can provide that for you too. Everybody good? Sister Angela, you good? Brandon, everybody good? Everybody probably listening in. It's late. Brother David, Brother Sean, you good? Open, you guys good? Everybody good? Brother Al, you good? Brother Jeremy, Brother Rich, Brother Dundry, over Jermaine. Everybody good?
Blessings. I'm good, my brother. We spoken it all in over.
Thank you, Open. Like I said, and of course, we're still building. We still got our little, more information trying to get over to you as well in that regard too. Hope Jeremy, you good? You open up a little bit here. Yeah, I think you're good. Just making moves. Okay. All right. So that's it, guys. So I guess
Hey,
get out
what
you
kind?
guys. Go ahead,
What
Open.
kind?
Oh yeah, he had his mic on by mistake. Okay. It's like the wife I sent him to the store to get some ice cream and some cookies. We didn't talk to them. Boy, go get me some ice cream and cookies. But I heard that boy talking about some ice cream and cookies. I'm just gonna go to make some midnight run. Got him. Hey, go get that. Get that woman some ice cream. Bye. Get that coconut version too. Get that coconut version. Just cutting up. All right. That's it, guys. So I guess I don't have anything else. I appreciate you all, man. I value you guys. Again, I love this stuff because we go to war for each other. Financially, that's what it's all about. We're building that house, right? On Ubuntu for a reason, right? All this stuff is valuable and it matters. Why? Because you guys are the future, right? You guys are the future, right? The future vanguard within this perspective and this spectrum, and growing and helping these younger folks come to this craft because they need this like yesterday. And so, I just say it's up to you guys to make sure y'all keep passing that torch forward. And don't hesitate, get them on, right? When we come on, if you got them listening in the background, that's good too. If you want, they log on when y'all get y'all link, because y'all know, have them, they can log on to your link, bring them on, right? Y'all know everything we do is PG rated because we're dealing with, information that's, dealing with money. So ain't, this is universal, right? It's all universal, right? So don't hesitate, bring them on and let's discuss it. So thank everybody in the backside. Thank everybody on the YouTube. Oprah Rand's over there getting it in. Oprah Brandon over there. Randon put the whole chat together. Sister Monica was listening to pages too. I know y'all, she wasn't in tonight because she's been busy, but she's in the middle of tax season. But thank you, Ilba Monica, as well. Happy to have her here. As always. So, we welcome you, brother Snotball in the building, brother Dollar Will. The whole nine, everybody that's listening on the YouTube side as well. Again, some Alpha Sniper in the building came through as well. Just looking through YouTube here. I might have missed a few people here and there. Forgive me. Brother Divine, of course. Brother Everything as well. He was in. Yeah, so the family, the fam. Right, the fam. All right, guys, that's it. I don't have anything else, guys. Peace, power, and profit, everybody. We appreciate you all. Let's get this money. Well, again, let's get this training first. I gotta say that, boy. Let's get this training first. Don't jump out the window. Don't do it. Right? Don't do it. Let's get this training and this education. And when you get comfortable, then you go get that bag. Right. So that's what we're working towards. You guys getting more convicted in terms of your knowledge. Knowledge brings power. Power equals profit. Get excited for that t-shirt moment. With that being said, guys, we're gonna log off and see you guys back in the groups, the chats. If you have any questions, don't hesitate, hit us up. That's what we're here for. All right. You good, Sister Shanika?
Oh, no. That was the
peace of love. Oh, you throwing the piece of love? Oh, you throwing the piece up. You're right. She doing it the right way too, because how you do a peace sign the right way? Some jokers don't know that though. Some joker right now probably like, bro, that ain't not a peace. That's a pseudo peace sign. Like,
yeah.
Hold my hand. Oh, joker like, that's the pseudo peace. So this is the peace sign you know about, right? Does that mean y'all split? Y'all divided, right?
Right.
Or is it this? It's clearly this. Clearly, we together on Ubuntu. That's what I'm talking about. What life you? Boy, look at y'all. I'm so proud of y'all. No, I'm just kidding. They're cutting up there. Now, y'all have a great one. So thank y'all. Thank y'all for tuning in. We'll see you guys on the next one, guys. Peace, everybody. Have a great evening. Stay safe, guys, and stay wealthy.